This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in our business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. So what is your life update this week?
Life update's pretty short.
Hell,
Sammy wanted to go to out with friends for Halloween, so we went out for like an hour and a half to downtown Melbourne.
cool. How is that? Downtown gets kind of rowdy on big events.
Yeah, I mean it was rowdy for sure. But I mean, like what else? I mean, I didn't drink or anything like that. So
Dude, I don't think I have been downtown at night since college.
yeah, it'd been a while for me.
Yeah.
I think it's probably about.
Which is crazy because we used
Yeah.
to get there at like 2 p.m. when
I know.
when
2
Main,
p.m. on
when Main
for
Street opened.
Tuesday. No, when debaucheries opened at 2
Oh,
p.m.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
and Main Street opened at like 5.
There's a new one. So there's debaucheries and then there's another newer bar. It's like a Hispanic tequila type place.
Fiesta?
Is it?
Fiesta's
Is that it?
older though.
No, it's split. There's like a hallway between. It's 2 buildings, but it's the same bar.
Oh,
It's really interesting.
I think I saw it while I was down there, but I didn't
Yeah.
recall what it was.
It's cool. If I still drank, I would love to. There's one. Oh, what's it called? It used to be called, and now it's called like Electric Cowboy or something like that. Did you guys go to that one?
Mm-mm.
I can't remember what it used to be. Hurricane Creek, maybe. They had a
Hurricane Creek's still around.
man. There's so many down there. There's one bar that was on a TV show called Bar Restoration, where they come in and they're like, "Oh, the customers hate it here, and you guys suck," and then they like revamp it.
Oh,
do it
that was
over.
Yeah. No, that's not any of those. It's a bigger bar down closer towards the riverside, on the left hand side if you're going towards the river.
What was it called? Now it's called
It was closed down for like
Electric.
a few months because someone got shot.
Before or after the restoration?
I'm not sure, but I heard that
Yeah.
that was the bar there.
Hurricane Creek Saloon renamed to Neon Cowboy. Or
I went to
Neon Cowboy.
Hurricanes yesterday.
Really? Or it's from April. I wonder if they changed it back.
Or on Friday.
Neon Rodeo is what it's now called.
It is not called Neon Rodeo.
I wonder if they switched it back. Ooh, drama.
It's been Hurricane Creek as long as I've known.
Interesting. Neon Rodeo already changed their name again. Oh shit. This is on a Reddit thread. There's a 321 Reddit for our area code. That's
Oh.
cool. I should follow this. Interesting.
There you go.
Drama. Anyways, so you had fun.
Yeah, we just went out a little bit, and then we tried to go flying yesterday, but the plane was in maintenance, and so couldn't get out there.
Gorgeous weather yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's been beautiful for like this
Yeah.
whole week.
Yeah.
It's been really, really nice.
I don't know if it's going to stick around, but I'm enjoying it while it's here.
I don't know. Yeah, it is really nice out. Really nice.
Great Miata weather.
Yeah. So that's about it for life, though.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you? What you got?
Mine's also short. I went to Egg Fest yesterday with my parents, which was super fun. Egg Fest, for those who are new to the initiation, is a festival in which the owners bring their big green eggs, which is a smoker, like a grill smoker. It's shaped like a big green egg. Owners bring their big green eggs out and they make a bunch of recipes and they hand out like samples to people who come through, right? And I went with my dad at one of the first Egg Fests they did in Cape Canaveral at like a hotel. There was like an empty lot next to a hotel and they just had it there. It was a ton of fun. And I haven't been in like 5 or 6 years. But my dad and I have been several times. And so this summer on a whim, I was like, "Oh, do you remember this?" My dad was like, "Yeah." And it's in November. In November, I have a lot of stuff on the weekends. So next weekend is that Universal night for Kennedy
Yeah.
Space Center.
I gotta figure out what time that is. Do you know?
Night. I don't know. They close it. Yeah, it's like It's in my calendar, but they close it at like 5 p.m. and then 5 to like 2 a.m. is open only to KSC people. So, um,
I'm one of those.
there's like less people. It's like less people there. That's the draw. But like I know I have to block out time for that. Later in November is one of my friend from high school's wedding, so, like, I have that date blocked out too, so I wasn't sure if I was going to go to Eggfest or not, um, because of all this other stuff, and so I told myself this week, I was like, "Okay, if I can hit 80% on my, affiliate partnerships, then I will take the time to go to Eggfest because it's, like, an hour 20 away, so this is gonna be, like, a several-hour thing." And I hit that on Wednesday or Thursday, so I allowed myself to go to Eggfest. And I didn't buy tickets online in advance because it said you can buy them at the door. Online, it said they had sold out. You can get them online early for a reduced rate or full price when you get there in person. They sold out online. I was like, that's fine. I'll just get it in person. Maybe I have to pay for parking. Who cares? So I got there and the lady was like, "Oh, we're sold out." And I was like, "Yeah, I saw it online, but I just wanna buy tickets at the door." And she was like, "No, no, no, we're not selling any more tickets." And I was like, "Oh." And so I left and I parked in a parking lot like 2 minutes away, and I called my parents who were already in the event because they bought tickets online. And Grace, at this point, is really bummed because she was looking forward to this, like, a lot. And so now she's, like, trying to think of, like, other things that we can do while we're an hour and a half away from home,
Mm,
to not make the trip a total bust. And, I was like, "Let me just call my parents because my parents have ways of making things work. I was like, my dad is either already friends with one of the officials who can get us in, or my mom will like threaten to sue them and we can get in too. And so I just called my parents and like they were like, let's see what we can do. And sure enough, like 3 or 4 minutes later, they called back and they were like, "We have your wristbands. Come to the parking lot." So we went back to the same girl who turned us away before, and she was like, "Welcome in. Park in row 5." And so we went and we parked. But Grace was like, "This is incredible because I'm so used to people like either not even being at the event at all or like giving up immediately. So it's awesome that your
yeah.
parents like made it work." And I was like, "Yeah." But the reason I bring up that story is because A, my parents rock. But B, Grace reframed it in a way that I don't appreciate that other people grow up in environments that don't promote like just trying to make something work, right? So I already had another backup plan ready to go where if that lady wouldn't let us pass and my parents couldn't get us wristbands, I was gonna stay in that parking lot and then walk past her because she was guarding the parking lot, not the event. So I was gonna walk through that parking lot to the event and then talk to people there and see if I can get a ticket at the because at that point I'm already here. I have cash in my hand. Let's make something happen. So like I had a backup plan to my parents as a backup plan. Um, but it was a lot of fun. I had fun while I went there, and it was a ton of food. So I saved money on buying food out and about,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Nice.
So I had a blast.
Cool.
And then my other life update is that the F1 title fight is not over, as I had previously mentioned, because last week the race happened after our podcast, where Max was 40 points behind the lead, um, and he qualified like fifth, right? But he ended up finishing third. And the only reason he didn't get second, he was right behind Charles Leclerc. He had eaten into him. He was going like a second a lap faster than Charles for like 20 laps to catch him. He did a two stop, Charles was on one
Okay.
stop. Um, and he was catching him at a rate of knots, right? And then one lap to the end, one of the Williams broke down and they called out a virtual safety car. And then they lifted the virtual safety car on the last lap, but it was past the overtaking opportunity, so Max couldn't get past. Um, and it's funny because everyone online was like everyone talking about the race was like, "It's bullshit. They shouldn't have called out a safety car. He was pulled over in a safe area. They're ruining racing. Like they should have never pulled this out at the end. Like I'm furious. The drivers are furious." And they interviewed Max, and they were like, "How do you feel?" And he was like, "Sometimes you get lucky with safety cars. Sometimes you don't. That's it. Like, I don't mind." And so everyone's like, "He's not as upset as I am about this. This could be championship defining." And then other people are like, Max has gotten lucky with safety cars before. I think he's probably pretty self-aware of what's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on." Um, but he finished third. So he's now 36 points behind Lando Norris, who now leads the championship,
Mm.
with 4 races to go and 2 sprint races. And that's still a huge gap. But this weekend upcoming is Brazil, where Max is like pretty much untouchable, and it could rain, and it's a sprint weekend, so he could pick up like a ton of points.
Oh,
So I'm excited. I'm excited because I don't have work on Friday. It's an off Friday with Northrop. So if I do all my hours this week and I like plan my schedule out so I don't have to flex any hours, I don't have to go into work on Friday, and it's a sprint race. So it's my favorite racing weekend of the season is on a 3-day weekend with Northrop, so I can watch all the competitive sessions. But
Nice.
yeah, that's
Cool.
my life update.
Very nice.
What is your business update this week?
Business was hectic this week, man.
Good hectic or bad hectic?
Rough. A mixed bag. It was it was yeah, it was a lot of shit I didn't want to deal with.
Hmm.
Um, I'll go in order, but so the looking at the branding launch right now, have about 100, just over 100 orders across the test.
'Kay.
So still not super statistically significant. Um, waiting at least until 200
Got it.
to make a decision. But currently, conversion rate is 15% lower. Revenue is 20% lower. Add to cart rate is 10% lower. Checkout begin rate is 15% lower. And abandoned checkout rate is 17% higher.
Hmm.
Additionally to that, customers who order on the rebranded site tend to email and cancel more often.
How much
Is
more
interesting.
often?
I very rarely get people canceling orders on my original site, and for whatever reason, the people that the new site or attracting to purchase at least, I've already had 3 cancellations out of 100
Ooh,
order or out of 50 orders
weird.
approximately.
And so you can directly compare that. So just for clarification's sake, of the 100, let's say 50 are going to the new website, 50 are going to the old one. You are comparing the 50 that are going to the news site, calling and canceling, to the other 50 that are going to the old site, not comparing to the whole history of the data.
I mean, even in
Like,
looking at the history of the old site, I've only had maybe 3 cancellations throughout like 8 months. Very, very few.
got it.
And on this rebranded site, I've already had 3 people just in this week be like, "Actually, I changed my mind."
Got it. And all from the new site?
All from the new site, which is
Got it.
very interesting.
Got it.
So right now it's not looking great. I mean, there is the possibility that it picks up. That is possible. If it's looking like a dead match at 200 orders, I'll have to assess how I want to proceed with it.
Yeah.
Um, but some stuff that I thought was kind of interesting that I think could be improved is that the video at the bottom of the page currently, or closer to the middle of the page, could be at the top,
Hmm.
um, in one of the image windows, which I think would be nice. Another thing that I was looking at on the site is reviews could be pulled farther up, but that's not really a big difference. Like neither of those things are a difference between the baseline and the rebrand, because the rebrand, the reviews are also dug down in the bottom of the page, right? But
Right.
sometimes bringing proof up can't above the fold even can have a positive impact on conversion. Um, Additionally, the rebranded site, the add to cart and the cart itself is a slide out cart versus the current site. Once you add it to cart, it goes immediately to checkout. And it shows you in the cart. And so I think that's part of the reason why there's a higher or a lower checkout begin rate for the rebranded site
Hmm.
is because if you click add to cart and then it immediately shows you the cart to check out, you may be more likely to just check out.
Yeah, that's my thinking is if I'm watching an ad for a product that I'm interested enough to click on, there's a high likelihood that I buy it unless I don't like the price.
Yeah.
So, or the site sketches me out. So as long as you have a site that doesn't sketch me out, then I'll probably click buy. But I'm wondering when I am watching the ad and I click on the thing, does that take me immediately to the purchase page for that item in both sites?
Yeah, it takes you to the product page where you can add it to cart and then
Got it.
check out.
So it doesn't take me to like the main landing page of the website where I have to
No, no,
then
no.
hunt for the product. So both of them take me directly to I can just tap on the ad, tap add to cart, and then pay.
Correct.
Okay, got it. So there's no friction difference between the two sites.
No, no, there's a slight friction difference. If you want to surf this on the baseline website, when you click add to cart on the product page, it directs you to a window that is a cart only. It's
Got it.
one big cart and it has your products and then your checkout button.
Right.
On the rebranded site, when you click add to cart, it's a slide out window that then displays your items and you can hit checkout there.
Got it. But
But
it
it's
still
slide out, right? So you can click
right.
on the outside of the slide out and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll surf around a little bit more or whatever."
Right.
Right? But the current baseline, like it is a completely new window. People are less likely to like click the back button and go surf more. They'll be like, "Oh, well, I'll just check out now." Right?
Yeah.
I think another thing too is that the average order value looks to be a little bit lower. Um And I think that's because the variant selector is not as um, clear, like operationally. It's pretty on the rebranded site, but it's not easy to buy 2 or 3 gram phones, right? Because you have to select a color and then add that one, and then select a different color and then add that one. Or if you want 2 of one color, you can add 2 of that color, right? But on the current baseline site, you have a line item for 1, 2, or 3 gram phones, and then within that block that you click select, you choose your colors right there, and then you just add. And I like
Mm.
that more. And that's actually I had that style set up, but the person doing the rebranding didn't like the way it looked. And so we changed it. Um,
In either case, though, once you go to your cart, it does show you individually blue gramophone 1,
it
green
does.
gramophone 1. So
Yes.
they both display the same in the cart. It's just the selection function
The
that's
selection function's different.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I pull it up while you're talking?
Yeah. You can try. It depends on what side of the split test it kicks you to.
Got
But
it.
I can text you a link as well. That'll
Yeah, I'm just
force it to
curious
be one
as well.
way or one side or the
It
other.
looks like the new one. Oh, I've got to turn off my dark mode. I've got one of those Chrome extensions that makes everything
Mm,
dark. Keep talking.
but yeah, I think the add to cart and the variant selector I think could be a little bit more operationally clear or easier to buy multiple.
Right.
Um, and then I think the images, although super cute on the rebranded site, do not clearly depict what it comes with.
Hmm.
Um, because I get a surprising on the baseline and like regardless of what site it is, I get a surprising amount of questions about like um if it comes with records.
Really?
Yeah, like a surprising amount.
I
Um,
wonder if it's as simple as just in one of the product pictures saying comes with records.
yeah, so one of the things I was thinking of was like, what about just like literally taking the cute images, but doing like gramophone and then like 96 records and charger cable,
Yeah.
and
It
just
just
like
all comes in one.
all comes in one, right? Like just like making the, maybe keeping them cute, maybe not, but like just making it really like
Clear.
easy to understand and clear, right? And so that's something that I thought about as well. Was that And that also gets me to running the advertisements that she made, which was very interesting. So they had very low spend in the umbrella campaign, and so last night.
Oh, this is the old site. Never mind.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
The
You
the
can open up a new
the logo
incognito window.
the logo looks like the new one.
Oh
This
yeah,
is the old
yeah.
thing else.
You can open up a new incognito window, and it will probably kick you to the.
I don't know how
Well, or you might need to use a new browser, like if you use a different browser.
like DuckDuckGoose.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how to do
Then
incognito.
just type in sweetgo.com. It'll
Check.
pop.
Cool.
Um, But yeah, so what?
Advertising.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
advertising. Yeah. So the ads didn't spend in the main umbrella campaign. And so I was like, okay, I'll put them in a separate campaign. That launched last night. And I put them in the separate campaign. And the performance is terrible. Like
So which ads are these again?
these are the ones that the rebranded person made.
The
That
ones that the rebranding person,
correct.
not UGC stuff. That's a
No,
different batch that we're talking about.
correct. Yeah,
Haven't gotten there yet.
yeah, haven't got
Got it.
there yet.
Huh.
These are the as a she made for the rebranding.
And these are going in the main campaign with your current winning ad.
So they were there, but they
Got it.
didn't get spent. So now I actually put them in a different ad account under a completely new campaign under bat. This is like a very, it's a very, very stable ad account, and it's well converting. The reason I don't use it is because they have a fee associated with spend. And so it can get very, very taxing as you start to spend more.
I remember this
So
one.
I don't scale with it.
This is what you started with.
But it's very strong.
Yeah.
It's a very strong count. And so I actually put it in their brand new campaign, Queen Slate. It started running last night. Looking at the data today, the right now it's entry level data, but like CPM cost to reach 1,000 potential customers is super high, like
Hmm.
like over $60, whereas my winner is like 28.
Got it.
So like really high. Cost per click as a result of that, partially is like over $4 cost per click, which is high.
That is high.
Yeah, like I'm usually running like around like $1.40, $1.60.
Right.
Um, Hook and hold rate are decent, but the ads are shorter, so that's to be expected.
Hmm.
In part. And so looking at this,
Damn, and so that's a whole new ad account, which means that it's not being corrupted by, like, a different
now this is
graphic
a new
data
one.
or anything.
No,
That's a
no.
whole new everything.
And actually, I have a lot of really great info about because this is something I dug into a lot this week. Trying to understand why this is. So I had a two-prong approach to understanding advertising this week. I had a logistical understanding why the frameworks work the way they do in umbrella CBO versus a separate test campaign and why people choose one or the other. And then I also had the framework of given the premise that my ads suck because I don't know what else to blame, well, how can I make them better? And
Right.
so there was two prong approach to that. Um, but oh, by the way, did you get the site up?
Everything's loading super slow. I went to DuckDuckGo,
Oh,
like
okay.
Goose, and
Yeah.
it came you gave me the old one again, but that's okay. I
Yeah,
remember scrolling
if you
through it
add to
previously.
cart on one of the sites, just add to cart on the other site.
Oh, like, balance it out?
Yeah, because I don't know if it's gonna, yeah, just balance
Yeah.
it out, yeah.
Everything is loading super slow, so I'm not sure I'm gonna.
I can send it to you later on a Shopify theme test, and it'll
Yeah.
be, like, totally separate.
Well, I have that link from you from a few weeks ago on my phone, but I was just gonna, like, m move through it while you were talking, but,
Mm.
it's okay. I remember most of it, but keep going.
Yeah, but, so yeah, the ads for the ads that the rebranding person made, they didn't spend in the Umbrella CBO campaign and launched under a new ad account that was, um, under a new campaign, and actually this ad account this is another part of my week. I had to restart that ad account this week in part because I almost lost my main ad account this week.
Your main one?
Yeah, my main one that I have like over $40,000 in
Was it
spend across.
flagged?
It got throttled spend on it. And
Jesus.
so the account was it started throttling spend Wednesday night and then Thursday it wouldn't spend at all.
Hmm. So
And then I got a meta warning, and then it's like your count is like, and I was like, I'm fucked. It's like I'm fucked. And so actually, I was talking with my mentor about it. This gets into the like the weeds of what I researched, but my mentor was like, I've had that happen before. This sounds silly, but just leave money in the account and leave it on. And even though it's not spending, just leave it
right.
and don't touch it. And I did that, and Friday it started to pick up. And then Saturday and Sunday, so today, it's looking good so far. So I'm like,
Knock on wood.
whew, yeah, yeah. So that was like, that was rough for a little bit because I was like, oof, I don't know, like that, like it sucks. It would have, hopefully all goes well, but that account is doing really well and I'd like to keep it. Um, but actually, that long story short, the ad account that has the percentage spend fee that I'm using to test the rebranding person's ads, I actually restarted this week because of that situation with my main ad account.
Right.
And I actually ran my winning ads on it and they converted well. So I know that the ad account is in bonk, right?
Say that one more time.
So the ad account, the one with the fee, this week when my main ad account was down, I ran a campaign with my winning ad in it
That did well.
in order to maintain, something on the store and
Right.
some activity,
Right.
right? And that did well.
Split test or old split site?
It's every single piece of traffic from anywhere goes into the split test right now.
Okay,
It
cool.
doesn't matter where it
Got
comes
it.
from.
But this is importantly not the campaign that has a shitload of data in it and is gonna prefer your winning ad at all times anyways. This is
Yeah.
a new campaign with all new data and the new and your
Yeah.
winning ad that is still doing well.
And in addition to that, anytime you actually create a new campaign, you start fresh with campaign level learnings
Right.
completely. Even if you duplicate, you start completely fresh. And then on top of that, if you let an account sit for more than 30 days, the account and the associated pixel data with that account will purge.
Every 30 days?
It's between 30 and 90. There's no like
Huh.
set number on it, but if you let it get cold for long enough and you have high enough order volume coming in, it'll purge.
Got it. Because it's just too much data to keep or
It's
because it's
it's
old
not
enough?
seeing it as active anymore. It goes stale, it goes cold, right? It's saying, okay, in the past 30 days, this person hasn't run anything from this account,
Right.
anything from this campaign. Why do I need to keep this data
Yeah.
around? Right.
Yeah.
And so that's essentially what happens.
Got it.
Because it has newer and fresher data from newer and fresher customers, right? Um, And so, yeah, so right now, I mean, obviously, we'll see how it develops over the next. I'll run it for 3 days at $100 a day. And so we'll see how it develops, right? It is possible that the conversion rate still performs, even if the cost per click is low, if the ads are compelling to the correct target avatar.
So how long have those been running?
It just started at midnight. It's spent about like 50 or $60 at this point.
Got it. So the numbers are shit, but it is brand new.
It is brand new, but in all of the ad accounts that I've ever restarted and campaigns that I've restarted, I've never had an ad account or a campaign.
Start this bad.
No, I've had them start this bad, but I've never had them start at like some crazy poor level, and then within any period of time convert more than 30% better than that.
Got it.
Right? So it's not like you're gonna start off at like a 0.5 ROAS at $100 a day, and then if you just let it sit for a week, you're gonna hit 3, right? Like,
At
it's
best, it's still not profitable.
honestly, traditionally what I've seen is that when you turn on an account first go, that first day will actually be better than days 2 and 3.
Hmm.
And then days 4, 5, and 6, it'll start to pick back up a little bit. But I think that when it like hits fresh data
Right.
and it gets right off the bat, like it's the same thing as like when you scale down an account a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get better performance because Meta's like, hey, like scale back up,
Right.
right? Just like if you turn an account on, I think it's in a similar way where Meta's like, throwing you the good eggs, and
Mhm.
you're like, yeah, keep going,
Right.
keep spending,
Right.
right?
So you've made a shitload of ads. These are ads.
341.
I would
I
categorize that.
select all in my Dropbox yesterday because I was curious.
Yeah,
It was 341.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
I would categorize that as a shitload. Do you know why America doesn't use the metric system? I learned this week. This is from a Johnny Harris video, which apparently Johnny Harris is a contentious figure because he oversimplifies history to make it engaging, but I was engaged. Here's why the US doesn't use the metric system, right? In the 1700s, France went through the Enlightenment, right? And they were like, why are we measuring things using like the fucking length of a person's foot? Like the length of any person's foot was considered a foot, right?
Mhm.
An acre was the amount of land that a farmer can plow in a day, right? Like
Right.
dumb shit, right? And at the time, Britain used King Henry as like the standardized system of like they measured his foot and that's what a foot is. They measured his chest and that's what a yard was, right? And then they handed out that yard measuring stick to everybody and they were like, that's what we're using. And France was like, this is dumb shit. So they had scientists go out with telescopes and over 6 years, they would stand at the top of a mountain and they would pick one point, they would pick another point, they would measure the distance between the two, and then they would go to one of those points, then measure the distance, and then pick another point, and they zigzag all the way down this like French mountain range to calculate the diameter of the earth. And then they divided that into equal portions, and that was a meter, right? So a
Wow.
non-changing science-based foundation for what their unit of measurement would be, right? And then if you take a meter and you break it down into 10 centimeters and then make that a cube and fill that with water, now you have a liter, right? And that same weight is a kilogram, and then et cetera, right? So France made this system of measurement called the metric system, right?
Mm.
You're familiar, super easy. They started to share that with everyone in Europe. And everyone in Europe was like, yeah, I don't know, because you're French. And at the time, Napoleon was leading the French. He was also like, no, I don't know about this, right? Um, and eventually they got everyone on board, right? And so then France was like, oh, America's popping off. It's 17, whatever, early 1800s. We should give this to the Americans, right? And so the French built a ship and put a scientist on this ship with all the metrics stuff to go speak to Thomas Jefferson, who was like the Secretary of State at the time in the US, to show him this measurement system and be like, dude, this is awesome. You should get on this shit, right? And they sent that boat over to the United States. And that boat was intercepted by British pirates who accidentally killed the French guy. And they were looting this ship and they found this like weird little mass labeled 1 kg. And they were like, what the fuck is this shit? And they found a letter addressed to Thomas Jefferson. And they were like, oh, well, we accidentally killed the French dude who knows what all this shit is, but we're British. We're cool with the British. We're cool with the Americans. We should still deliver this letter. So these very kind pirates brought this letter to the United States to deliver to Thomas Jefferson, right? But by the time they got there, Thomas Jefferson wasn't the Secretary of State anymore. It was some other dude. So this other dude got this letter addressed to the guy who held the seat before him, and he was like, what the fuck is this? And he opened it up and he was like, this is retarded. And so he just gave it to someone else who then lost it, right? So then, years later, America caught wind that all of Europe was using this metric system, but by then it was too late. They had already established all of their like fundamentals and education system and stuff around the US standard system. And so it was too late for them to adopt the metric system. So the whole reason that we don't use metric, and then the US tried to convert back to the metric system, but that happened in the middle of the Ronald Reagan administration where he was trying to cut government spending. And part of the government spending he cut was the US trying to switch to metric. So apparently we've tried several times since then to switch and it's just never happened. But the whole reason it happened is because the pirates killed some French dude.
That's wild.
Cool, right?
There you go. Engaging history.
So all that to say, my American system for shitload is 300 something ads, right? So
Yeah.
you've made all these ads. How do you feel about the ads that your marketing person has made?
Yeah. So I think so. So I went through a deep analysis of, because I also had the AI generated creatives that I ran. I had some AI creatives with UGC combined. I had some more like TikTok style ads that I'd made. I had a bunch of stuff to go through yesterday on top of the 116 that I ran in the separate campaign, which I have interesting results for. Um, I went through all these and I'm going through the courses as well. It's kind of like it's a refreshed course on making advertisements, and it's a lot better. It hits me a lot better than I think the previous did. And I think the problem is that I don't. The ads are cute to watch. The rebranding person's ads are cute to watch.
Mhm.
They're fun. They're engaging. They're colorful. They're bright. They're catchy, and they're interesting. But they don't compel you to convert.
Hmm.
Right? It's like it's getting eyeballs that are not, um it's getting eyeballs that are not the eyeball that you want to convert.
It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Big explosions on the screen, but you don't feel an emotional connection to the characters.
You don't There's nothing that makes it feel like, "Hey, like, this is something I want." It's just something like from afar, like, "Yeah, it looks pretty."
Got it.
Right? Or, "Yeah, it looks cool." Right? And I think that it's a very good it's a very good unaware video. Like if you're not curious about anything, you'll be like, yeah, like this is just like pretty to watch. This is kind of cool, right? Or like but as soon as you try to like figure out what's going on, it becomes very unclear, very hazy,
Hmm.
right? Because it's very fast paced. There's a lot going on. It's not terrible. Like, and what I saw on other ASMR videos that I kind of liked, and also the videos that have seemed to perform a little bit better for me, is that they're very, very simple in how they present things.
Oh, are all these ASMR videos?
No, 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 I'm talking about, or so one of the ones that she made was ASMR,
Okay,
one of them was not.
got it.
But these kind of like faster, these kind of more TikTok trendy videos, I'll
Mhm.
say, right? Um, Something that I've noticed is that they're catchy for people to look at, right? But the ads that have converted for me have been very simple and very clear in terms of what they present, and they don't try to present anything extraordinary in any way. It's literally like just a nice gift.
Right.
And like I like it because.
Mhm.
And it shows the gramophone and all the cards, and it's just like the super, super simple layout. And that's what's done really well for me. And I think the reason that that has done well, based on the courses that I've gone through and based on looking at these ads again, is like, yes, the ad itself, like the video quality and like all of that stuff and the visual and all that stuff, like it is poor production quality. It's not something that you would like watch on a cinematic screen, right?
Mhm.
But it's honest and it's simple and it doesn't say anything that it's not, and it connects with the audience on a broad but personal level. And that's something that I really dug into with the courses this week, because that's something very, very challenging for me to understand. I still don't quite understand it fully. But I watched all the courses through. It took me 2 days to get through the courses. And it was like 8 hours of courses, but I would just like pause and like
Yeah.
write and whatever. And now I'm watching them back through module by module and doing all the exercises live while he goes through it and like really, really working through it. And the way he broke it down in terms of finding a target, I'll have a better thing to spiel about it next week, because I'll actually have like worked in it more. But essentially, you're finding like two broad desires and you're combining them together in order to create kind of like a so let's say you could be, and it's not demographic based. That's what he talked about a lot in the courses. He was like, let's say you want to have lasting connection, and you have a fear of being left out. And so you can combine those two together in a call out, in a hook, in order to set the premise and the framework for your ad coming forth. And I was watching through my ads, I was watching through the rebranding a person's ads, and I was looking through all of them, and I was like, man, like some of these do call out someone. Like they say, like, hey moms, blah 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 blah, or hey grandmas, blah 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 blah. Right. But there's no substance behind the hook because there's not it doesn't feel authentic to what the body of the ad says.
Hmm.
It's like calling grandmas who want lasting connection, and then it doesn't really compel it doesn't feel personalized to them, right? And so I think one of the tricks is that this week when I'm script writing, I'm focusing a lot more on trying to just be like honest and simple, clear kind of story style. Something else that I saw this week was static ads, right, which I've talked about before, but particularly static ads with very long descriptions,
Hmm.
like story style descriptions. And I've actually caught myself reading them before. Like I'll get a post and I see a long description, and the first few sentences like hook you in, and then I read the whole thing. And you
Right.
get like three quarters of the way through, and you're like, "What the fuck am I reading and why?"
Mhm.
Right? Well, but um, a lot of those ads seem to be converting for people, especially with older audiences.
Right.
And so that's something that I want to try this week as well, kind of more on that like simple hook story side. And that'd be something easy to have AI help me with too.
Yeah.
And something that I could definitely crank out. Um, but with all that said, the rebranding as of right now and the advertisements that were made as of right now, neither look like they're performing well.
Mm.
Which is really interesting. And I think it's a factor of clarity. I think that um, there is so much fast-paced, trendy, flashy noise. And that if most of my audience right now, or most of the people who are converting on my product are older
Right.
people, then that's that's something they want to get away from. They're more
Also,
focused on nostalgia and connection and spending time with their grandkids and
right.
creating memories, right? Not like what's the trendy, flashy new thing. And I think that stuff can convert well for mothers when done correctly, but I think the skill set required in order to do to that is potentially higher.
I have a different perspective, which is I'm not convinced that it would convert better with mothers either, because the whole like spirit of the product is that it's not flashy. It's not buying your kid a tablet. It's buying your kid a physical product that's grounded in reality and like old times, right?
Mm,
So having a flashy ad for a gramophone toy feels like an oxymoron, right?
yeah.
Jumbo shrimp. I think that especially if you're targeting obviously targeting an older audience, you want something that's going to hook their attention, which is not flashy, loud stuff, right? But even hooking a younger audience, it's kind of like having an EDM rave style advertisement for like a meat grinder
It's
machine.
like
It's
it's like grunge music at a cover bar.
yeah, it's exactly that, right? It doesn't fit. It doesn't
Yeah, it
match.
feels weird.
You
Yeah,
want something that matches the style of what you're doing.
yeah,
So even then, I think that I
yeah.
would take it a different direction.
And I think that's part of kind of what I learned this week is like because I've been frustrated for a while because I'm like looking at my winning ad and I'm like, this is so freaking simple. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
like what
So is
about this is
so is the
compelling?
product.
So is the product.
So are your
And
customers.
so are the customers,
Right.
right? And what dawned on me was like, I get questions from people asking me if it comes with records.
Mhm.
I get questions from people who ask me how to buy, and then like I tell them, and then they genuinely do go and buy. So it's not like a complete scammer,
Right.
right? I do also get the scam emails, right?
Yeah.
But like I get questions that I'm like, uh, I say this like 3 times on the website, like,
Right.
right? Like I get questions that really, really
Must be
obvious
old or low IQ.
or lost or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so I get these questions and I'm like, it dawned on me and I was like, man, like people just like I'm focusing and Sammy has told me this a million times and she's probably screaming at me virtually through the camera. But she's like, she's always telling me, she's like, just make something simple. Stop focusing on it so much. And I don't know, like, it was really hard for me to do that. And I didn't know how to do that. Because when I tried to do simple and not focus on it, it just turned out as like a shitty version of like what I perceived,
Right.
right? But the thing about it that I didn't understand until this week is that the winning ad isn't shitty.
Mhm.
The winning ad really good at what it does, and it's not it doesn't excel at what it doesn't need to excel at.
Right.
It's not flashy. It's not complicated. It doesn't have a bunch of like crazy like effects, and it's not showing a ton of different styles of footage. Like no. Like these ads are like the ad that's converting right now is
Right.
super clear, and it has a clear call out of if you're a grandparent or a parent or grandparent and you're looking for a gift for your kids or grandkids, then you have to check this out, and then blah 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 blah, right? And it's just a super clear call. And something that I learned through the courses this week as well is that as you're digging into kind of these avatars and trying to understand them, research is very, very important, but also new mechanisms in order to do so, right? And so this is something that I saw kind of in some of the previous ads that I've ran is that stuff that's overused, like uh, number one bestseller,
Mhm.
right, as like a text line
I don't
doesn't
know what New York Times bestseller means anymore.
right,
Like,
but it also like it doesn't matter, and people even if people so this was a complication in my head is like in my mind I'm like I know when someone says number one bestseller doesn't mean shit,
right.
right? But I perceive that other people value it because other people talk about it.
Right.
But what I didn't realize is that at this point, other people may talk about it, but that's just because they're talking about something. They also realize that like number one bestseller, like whatevs, right? A lot of the time, right?
Right.
Or it doesn't. At the very least, if other people, the other people out there don't realize that like number one bestseller doesn't mean shit, like they at least acknowledge that, or they at least feel as though it doesn't really mean as much anymore, right?
Right.
But like, I think I've listened to like I take like, other people just sometimes talk about stuff to talk about stuff,
Yep.
right? And, like, other people chatting about, like, their number one bestseller or this or that or whatever, like, they're just talking, and, like, I just don't, like, function in that same way
Yeah.
a lot of the time, and so it's complicated for me to understand, like, I don't, like, converse about noise, right?
Yeah, you don't like
Yeah, and so it's different for me, and that's something that was challenging for me to kinda, like, grasp around, but looking at the ads, like, it really hit me, I was like, "Man, like, these just aren't effective at targeting the style of person that has the highest likelihood to convert on my site.
right.
And it's not like the ads that the rebranding person were bad. It's not like they're bad quality,
Mhm.
right? They just don't effectively target or compel someone to purchase
They don't speak to the right audience.
because they don't speak to the right audience, or they're not the audience that they do speak to really really well. It's not compelling to a purchase
Right.
because it's not clear enough what's actually going on,
Right.
right? Like yeah, like cute ASMR video, or yes, like cute video with kids and stuff like that, but it's not. It's quick.
Right.
It's fast paced, and you kind of get to the end of the video, and if you've never watched it before, you're like, oh, like what just
Yeah.
happened? And like as soon as you have a grain of that, it's just swipe,
Is there a call to
swipe.
action in her ads?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, got
That's
it.
something
So
that
at
I
least there's that.
yeah, no, that's something that I added because originally there wasn't.
Yeah,
And I was like,
if you
"You
have
gotta
a
at least
video
have a call to action."
if you have a video showcasing a product, but you don't mention that you're selling it ever, then,
Yeah,
like, people are gonna think that it's just, like, a cool video promoting something or just sharing, right? Like,
yeah,
dude, I would make a sizzle reel of the Lexus any day of the week, right? But I'm not
yeah,
selling it, right? And,
yeah,
like, it could be the same thing with this, if
yeah.
there's not a clear call to action.
So that was kind of my analysis of the rebranding and the ads at least thus far. And obviously this week we'll see how things develop with both. And I'll come back next week with hopefully a completed split test and definitely or likely completed ad test, implying that conversions just don't jump out of the water somewhere, right? Um, but additionally, I launched that big test campaign with all the UGC content.
Right.
That was 9 different creators, 116 ads, several different ad copies and headlines, and then all different lengths, targets, all that stuff, text and no text, and all this other stuff. And I launched it on Monday, and at $200 a day. And on Monday, the return on ad spend was a 1.0 in comparison to 2.5 on my winning campaign. So
Okay,
winning campaign was 2.5. This one was 1.0.
got it.
The hook and hold rates were slightly better for this UGC test campaign,
Are
but
they are they shorter ads?
Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it. So
right.
it's
Like it's
average.
yeah, I don't have like broken down granularly.
Got it. Cool.
Um, the cost to reach 1,000 potential customers was over double,
Damn.
and the cost per click was approaching triple what the baseline
Jesus
was.
Christ, dude.
Yeah, so really,
Ugh.
and so I looked at it and I said, and I started pulling up demographic metrics on it. I'm glad I didn't do this for all 30 creators and then come to this same conclusion. I'm glad I did a small test batch. That's another lesson I learned
Wait,
this week.
hang on. How many of these you're saying you made 116 ads from
9.
from 9, not 30? Got it.
Correct.
Okay, 'cause
Yeah,
got
instead of going through all 30 and then doing
right.
this, right?
Got it.
Um, Now started looking at the metrics and the data, and I saw that it was spending these UGC ads on people that were mostly over the age of 45.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's a linking issue with the pixel because I didn't target audiences specifically. I didn't limit the reach of the ads at all. Right. So it's like maybe maybe Facebook doesn't realize that these UGC ads are meant for people kind of younger moms or aunts.
Right.
But it's just still targeting grandmothers.
Right.
Maybe that's the case. So what I did was, for Wednesday, I changed it
Mhm.
and I limited the reach of all the ad sets to only under 44, like
Okay.
hard limit. And what I saw then was from talking about it from the original UGC, which is already like 50 to 70% worse
Mhm.
than the main campaign performance, right? So I had my broad UGC campaign
Right.
that was 50 to 70% worse. Now, this next one that I launched with the limited reach of the age, that one in comparison to the original UGC, that one the ROAS cut in half again. So
Worse?
now I'm down to 0.64 return on ad spend.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Hook and hold rates are about the same
As the
a
top line?
as they're mixed and match in between. It's all kind of roughly the same. It doesn't matter too much. The CPM from the UGC that was broad to the UGC campaign that was targeted, that CPM went up 20%
From the from
from
before you made
the
that?
broad UGC. So now it's at
Got it.
$69.
Jesus
So
Christ.
high.
That's worse than your ad creator, your marketing director would.
Bad. Yeah. Cost per click 7.95. Cost per one click.
That's like my real estate ad that I ran a month
Bad.
ago bad.
Bad. Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, shit. Like,
Yeah.
glad I didn't make another 200 of these,
Yep.
right? But I'm looking at the
This is a great, you know how last week we were talking about how you were like, "Oh man, like, I wish I had like stopped developing the website like a week earlier to do it." And then I was like, "Oh, well, I'm glad you went for it because if you didn't, you'd be second guessing, right?" Great example in which your perspective last week is totally valid, where it's like, "Thank God you didn't go all out because that would have been a
I
waste of
mean,
time."
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so the only thing I'm gonna do is that there were a handful of ads that got more spend than other ads.
Right.
I'm gonna put those handful in the umbrella campaign under their own ad set in my main campaign and just see how the spend allocation happens.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Maybe they'll be better than some of the other ones.
Yeah, maybe they'll be better than some of my other tests, right? Just to try and squeeze some juice out of my efforts, maybe,
Well, hang on.
right?
What is the demographic for your current winning ad?
Like 45 plus.
Okay, got it. And we have seen from this new UGC ad batch, it does worse when you limit it to people under 44.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you put it in the same batch with the same data as your current winning ad, which does better over 44, you're probably not going to see it do really poorly because we know it does poorly under 44. So it's an even.
Well, it does poorly regardless. Like even on the broad
Well,
UGC campaign, it did
it
poorly.
did worse when you limited it to people
Yeah,
under 44.
I did.
So it's not detrimental to put it in with the winning ad campaign
No, I mean,
data set.
I mean, it's not detrimental regardless. I mean,
Yeah.
if Facebook doesn't like it, it just won't spend on it.
Right. Well, my thinking was if you've got an ad that might do better for younger people and you put it in a campaign with older people, then it's gonna do terribly. But in this case, that's not the case because we now know that it does worse under 44.
Yeah, yeah. Well, also there's some more factors here when it comes to actually how Facebook operates because this is something I looked into this week, and I was like, man, like there's a lot of ads here. Like I would have thought something would have worked to some extent, right? When I was running that UGC campaign. And so I started looking at how Facebook actually works behind the scenes when it comes to campaign optimization, pixel optimization, right? How it collects data, how it utilizes that data. And so what was really interesting to me was the pixel. The reason that you can use the same pixel for multiple different products, the pixel is like your database
Yeah.
tracker, right? The reason you can use the same pixel for multiple different products is because pixels don't actually track the demographics or age or race or gender of the people buying. What pixel tracks is the actions and the rate of actions that people take that convert versus don't convert. And so it tracks a pattern in actions of people that convert versus don't convert, and it creates pockets of people who meet certain criterias. And as those pockets grow, that's when the optimization happens. And so your pockets that it creates may happen to be more towards a older audience or more towards a younger audience, but Pixel doesn't care. All Pixel knows is these set of actions at this kind of rate had the highest probability to convert, and this person over here seems to be doing some of those actions right now. I'm going to throw them this ad,
Hmm.
right? So Pixel actually doesn't care about demographics, age, race, or gender, or any of that stuff, which is very, very interesting to me. Because I always thought this was kind of like a targeting issue, like what's Facebook doing, right?
Right.
But it's actually just targeting negligent of race, age, gender,
It's
all that stuff.
action based, not
It's
demographic based.
just action based, and it identifies pockets.
Huh.
And it identifies pockets after approximately 30 to 50 orders or conversion events. For me, it's orders. And so at this point, I hit 2,500 orders across the store
Mhm.
in total just this weekend.
So you should have like 100 pockets.
So, well, some of those pockets are going to be bigger potentially,
Got
right? But the claim I'm making is that there at least should be a pocket for someone who's younger and more fast paced, because the probability that no one in 2,500 orders that's under the age of like 40 has purchased, I think, is negligible. Like, I know for a fact there are some people who are
Right.
on that age who have brought,
Right.
or I actually do know for a fact that's true. Um, and so that pixel identifying pockets was very interesting to me. And so the and part of this, I was also looking into this, is that it's okay to run separate products to the pixel. What's dangerous is when you have too many ad accounts running the same product to the same pixel from different ad accounts. Because now what's happened, so when you have your pixel, which is your database,
Right.
right? And this gets more into the flagging side of things, right?
Getting flagged.
I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit.
Okay.
But this pixel, as I was researching this, I dug into the pockets a little bit, and I was like curious about like how do I utilize it best, right? How do I utilize these pockets best? And I was like, yeah, you know, like my mentors also said, like you can use it for all your products. What can get a little bit sketchy is when you have like 3 or 4 ad accounts running the same product and the same pixel, because you have another tracker called the UTM, which I can't remember what it stands for. But essentially, it's a link tracker. It's like a
Right.
tag. And when that UTM, when you run the same product with the same URL, that UTM becomes the same, and the pixel that's linked to becomes the same. So now you have 2 different ad accounts running the same UTM with the same pixel, and now Facebook sees that as a duplication event.
Oh, okay.
And so
Got
now because the UTMs are the same and the pixels are the same, now Facebook's looking at it and going like, hey, like, what's going on here?
right.
Right. And when it's 2 ad accounts, it's okay. But once you hit like 3, 4, or 5, that's when it starts to get risky.
Does this get worse if you have multiple pixel accounts, like a backup pixel account?
No. So actually the solution to it is to have if you want to run the same product on um multiple uh different accounts, you can either have different pixels or you can have a cloned pixel
Hmm.
that's different but has the retained data from your current pixel, but then they'll build up differently.
Got it.
Right. As they learn, they'll learn differently, right? Potentially because the ad accounts are different, right? So they may potentially convert a little bit differently.
Got it.
Um, but what was really interesting is I also started looking into ad account warnings, and trying to understand that, partially because I was also curious about it because my account had the throttle spend issue. So I was like, I may have to like completely restart.
Right.
Um, so I want to have the best information I possibly can. And so an ad account will unlearn mildly after 72 hours. So it'll start to unlearn the campaign a little bit. And then after 7 days, it'll be a little bit more aggressive in the unlearning. And then after 30 to 90 days, that's when you like complete wipe.
That's what we
Right.
talked about earlier.
Yep. Yep. Um, and something else that I noticed too was that the account got um, throttled spend. A, when I was doing this test campaign, right, which was spending higher, but B, I've traditionally been sending top ups like 4 or 5 grand at a time. And I send them like once a week. And I'm just trying to build up time,
Right.
essentially. Right. And so I'll send this massive top up. And I've been doing it very consistently every Thursday morning.
Okay.
I'll send that. And so Wednesday night, it started to throttle a little bit. And then into Thursday morning, it was like really throttled back. Like it wasn't wanting to spend. And so I started looking into it a little bit too. And when you deposit an amount that is greater than 5x of your daily budget, it triggers Meta to do a credit line verification.
Okay.
And although the credit line's not mine, right, and it's like verified and approved, right, with the provider, right,
Right.
for the ad account, they may still be getting hit with a verification, and that might be throttling my spend, especially if they have multiple people who are topping up. Because this is the other thing I learned is that those ad accounts are shared to me through a business manager.
Right.
The credibility of my business manager is now loosely tied to the credibility of their business manager, and everyone who uses their accounts also tied into them.
So
Right, so it's kind
they're
of shared
fucked
credibility,
around.
right? So if they have ad accounts that are being underfunded over here, and they're getting bounced on the credit line, it may have just triggered a credit line check for me and throttled my spend on the account, not because of anything I did, but because accounts associated with them had problems.
Right. So
So that's very interesting too.
if those other accounts that are associated really fuck up, could that get you shut down?
So I believe that's what happened to me a while back when I lost one of my ad accounts that I had a decent amount of spend on.
Right.
Um, because when I reached out to support, they said, yeah, we ran into a business manager wide checkpoint,
Interesting.
which sounds like fancy terminology for too many people were fucking around and now we have to get verified again.
And critically, your business manager hasn't given you this information like, hey, heads up, don't do this because then your account will get fucked up and it'll fuck up all the other accounts that we manage.
So, like, I mean, you can share business managers, right? Like, the choice is yours. Like, the Facebook's role is not going to be to like directly advise you about what to do and not to do, right? They have like
Right.
recommendations, right? But they're not going to like restrict you from doing something even if they think it's stupid. They'll just implement algorithms that make it so that you get blocked easier, right? What I'm doing, having an account shared to me, is like a stable way to do it, right? But the thing is that that account that's sharing to me, their reputation, like my ability to run that account partially relies on their reputation,
Right.
right? And so this was really interesting. So in this time period, I turned on the old ad account that has like a percentage of spend fee, right? And then I also turned on my tablet ads to see how those were running. And then I also turned on a backup that they provided me while the account was throttling. And I had to balance what I turned on when, right? And I actually had the Pixel unlinked from the new account that they issued to me while I was warming up, because you warm up just on an engagement campaign and you don't run any ads. So I was able to navigate it such that I didn't have more than 2 ad accounts running the same product at the same time, because I didn't want to risk that, right?
Right.
And there was also about an hour long cooldown time that you have. Like if you shut off an ad account with a product, there's an hour long cooldown time to when the Pixel kind of realizes that it's off, right? And so I had to make sure that like I didn't have to do any of this stuff. I was just trying to minimize my risk,
Right.
right? Um, and so I was shutting stuff off, timed in such a way that I would have hour-long blocks and stuff like that, and very strategic. And so that, like, between the old ad account that had the percentage of spend, that also, I had to get, top-ups for that, right? And like allocating spend and make sure that it's prepped and spending correctly, right? I had my old ad account that was being throttled. I had to make sure that was topped up. I had my new account that I needed to make sure was topped up, and also running ads when it went to run ads. It could run ads,
Right.
right? I had to make sure everything was linked. All my audiences were up to date and all the accounts. Then the tablet ads were properly set up and running properly. Because there can be spend allocation issues when you turn on an old campaign,
Right.
and that's actually something I saw with the percentage fee spend campaign. When I turned that on, it spent on one of the ads in one of my ad sets like all of the budget, and I woke up to like $90 spent on this like junk ad,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What is it doing?" So I had to duplicate the campaign, and then
Right.
right. So there's little things I had to do monitoring all that stuff. Like that on top of trying to dig into how Facebook and Meta works. Because the real like I know that there's gonna be like future me or potentially future somebody watching this and they're gonna be like, this seems like such a time waste. Why do you care about how Facebook operates and like how the pixel operates and how these ad accounts operate, how they like and it's like I get that. But the thing is that I have this, like, engineering, like, knack inside of me that, like, it's very, very hard for me to execute things if I don't understand why they're being executed.
Right.
It's very, very challenging for me because I even and it's like, even if I don't fully understand why, if I have a granular understanding of, like, you do X, Y, and Z because X, Y, and Z consistently or if you do X, Y, and Z, A, B, C consistently happen, and that's why we do X, Y, and Z, like, that's good enough for me.
Right.
Like, I just don't like the ABC happened because of this compilation that we don't really understand.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but, like, how do you like, what? Right?
Well,
Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
it's like knowing no, like you don't have to be a mechanic to be a fast driver, but having an understanding of how every component of the car works gives you a more complete picture that could help you when you're driving the car,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's like a master of your craft.
Yeah.
Know everything, and some stuff might not be useful, but it gives you context for other stuff. And what's to say that something else doesn't crop up later that then makes that really important?
Yes. And the other thing that's really compelling me to understand this is I see marketing as one of the most valuable skills that I can acquire
Yeah.
because it allows you, what marketing does is, regardless of how saturated or unsaturated the product is, regardless of what other people are saying about the product, regardless of what anyone else is saying about anything you're trying to sell, even if it's not product based, even if it's service based, the ability to market and compel someone else to believe in you
Right.
and generate that and to then provide value because of that is a very, very valuable skill.
Right.
And so that I see is something I have to understand for my future, regardless of where I go.
Right.
And so I need to understand why, and I need to be able to invest in that.
Right. Well, it's a universal skill. It's the
Yeah.
same reason that I'm in real estate because we know how to build systems from engineering, but we don't know how to sell anything. In any business, you have to sell something, right?
Yes.
And so it's just this is the whole this phase, this chapter of our life, this business season is learning how to market things because no matter what business we go into, we're going to have to market things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so navigating all these accounts, making sure that they're funded, and on top of that, I couldn't just fund them with a couple $100. I had to fund them with like conditional money in case they ramped up and I need to ramp up spend
Mhm.
in order to scale and see how its performance went over the weekend because I can't top up over the weekend
Got it.
because of the
The
banks are
banks are
closed.
closed. Yeah.
And so I had to take into account, okay, what happens if this I need to scale this up or I want to scale this up or I need to scale this down? Like I need to have conditional money in all these accounts to allow these conditions to happen.
And all of this is in the account that isn't shut down, but you need to keep your money in the account that's shut down so that it doesn't get shut down all the way.
Well, I have my main fee percentage account that needs to have money for the weekend in case stuff gets shut down, and that's from a completely different badged business manager that's very, very stable. I need to have that ready to scale if I need to.
Right.
I need to have my main throttled account ready to scale or ready to spend if it starts spending over the weekend, which it did. So I need to have money there allocated, and I need to have on top of that. It's not just Saturday, Sunday. I need Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday because I need my top up requests to go through. I need the
Right.
banks to actually send the money, and then if I need to top up on Monday again, I need to ensure that the banks have enough time to get those accounts
Right.
funded by Tuesday,
Oh,
right?
also, yesterday was the first of the month when all the bills are due.
Yeah, so, like, a lot of stuff going on here. Part of what I did this weekend was also taxes.
Yep.
So my taxes are sorted out for legal reasons. But, the accounts, like, you can imagine these 5 different accounts, right? Like, I sent out, like, over $3,000 to these accounts this week, right? Just, like and I was like, "Fuck, like, this is a lot of money."
Yeah.
But
Double rent.
I see it yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But I see it as this like, I did this safety net protocol a while back, and I actually had some money in all these accounts, so I did just was able to click run, and they spent, right? But the problem is that I funded these accounts when I was at a point where I was spending, like, 150 a day.
Mhm.
Now I'm spending, like, 350 to 550 a day,
Right.
and, like, when you have $400 in an account, it just doesn't cut it, right? Like, you need a little bit more backbone to be able to kick something off,
Right.
right? Because I've scaled up. And so part of this week, I saw it as like, well, these are funds. It's not like I'm making this money disappear,
Mhm.
right? But the allocation of these funds is important to the security of my accounts and the ability to keep my business running in the case of bad situations.
Right.
And so part of that expenditure was, this week.
Right.
Um, but navigating all that stuff was mentally taxing,
Yeah.
right? And also understanding how these accounts link, how the UTMs link up. What is going on with the business managers? Why do I have these throttle spend issues? How does the pixel link into this? How does the pixel or the account history potentially link or not link to the failed UGC test that I ran? Because that was really curious to me as well, right? So understanding all these factors and understanding how the pixel works in pockets. It doesn't target demographics. It just naturally targets pockets that may associate to specific demographics. So the demographics are a byproduct of the pockets it identifies in the first place,
Right.
right? And so all that was really, really interesting to me, and important to also understanding why does this umbrella strategy work for other people, right? Why should it work for me? What are the pros and cons? And then if I'm deciding to run a test campaign, I need to understand concretely why it is or not performing,
Right.
right? And so that was really important to me understanding that. And I have a relatively clear picture at this point, which I'm happy about. But going back to the deposit thing, when I was depositing like 4 or 5 grand at a time into these accounts, it could have been triggering credit verifications on a line that I can't see because it's owned by someone else.
Right.
And so what I realized was Meta may have known that I'm going to send a top up on Thursday because I always do it on Thursday and I always do a big amount because I've done that for weeks now.
So it's anticipating it.
It's anticipating, and I've been ramping up how much I send too.
Right.
And so it's anticipating a big deposit,
Hmm.
right? And so it could be, if other people are also doing big deposits, could be doing a credit verification check on that line,
Right.
right? And so that's potentially why I got throttled Wednesday night coming into Thursday.
Right.
And so now what I learned is doing smaller deposits that are 3 days of spend. But what I can do is I can deposit 3 days of spend every 2 days.
Got it.
Right? And so
So you'll
over
say
the
a
course
little
of
bit
a
of
week or two, it'll build in the same way that I was building, but it's not just gonna be like one big payment, right? It's gonna be three, like if I'm spending 500 a day, I'll send 1,500 every 2 days,
Got it.
right? So it's a little bit of um, it's still getting the account funding up, but it's not triggering any credit line verifications,
Right.
right? Or potential
You're spreading it out.
C. I'm spreading it out,
Right.
right? Um, and so something that also I was concerned about was when the account got throttled spend. In order to allocate funds, the money was moved from the account that was being throttled and spend to the new account, and so there was a withdrawal of money from that, and sometimes that can unstabilize an account. So I was wondering, because I put money back into it to try to just leave it on, which I'm glad I did because it seems to be performing well right now. Um, when I put that back in, I was wondering, okay, like, is this going to permanently damage the account?
Right.
Right? Trying to understand that. And it's only a 72-hour window. Like if you withdraw funds and then you put them back in, especially within like 24 hours, the maximum that Facebook will like throttle or look at that transaction is like 72 hours.
Hmm.
And so kind of this was part of my assessment was, okay, after it picks up spend, which it picked up Friday, how long do I have to wait before I try to scale this back up and ensure stability? Right. And so I'm thinking about 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
I can scale up tonight. If it scales well coming into tomorrow, I don't have any issues. Then I have a kind of a tree diagram on my whiteboard of like what accounts I keep, what I don't, what I leave running, what I leave funded, what I fund next, how do I transfer funds, right? Is it's relatively complicated, right? Because it has to be done strategically. It has to be done to minimize pulling money out of accounts, in order to, I don't, the more money I can leave where I've put, the better, right? For that security, right? But I also don't want to turn stuff on and off too quickly. I don't want to fund stuff too quickly, right? Like there's pacing involved here. So all this stuff, like developing a plan for this in this kind of situation was relatively complicated.
Right.
But what's really, really interesting is that so as of right now, it's been a day and a half of spend on the new account that they issued to me from a different business manager. This was also another factor of the account that I had was from a media company called Scale 3 Media, and it was run through Ad Revival, which is like the main umbrella company that I use to run all my accounts. But they essentially lease accounts from other providers,
Hmm.
other credible providers, right?
Got it.
And then they filter them to you, right?
Got it.
Um,
So they're like a broker.
yeah, essentially.
Okay.
And so Scale 3 Media, what I'd seen is that it had done really well performance-wise for me. So part of my analysis too was that I had this Scale 3 Media account that was being throttled, with my main one, and then my tablet account and a backup account that I had for the wheel from a while back were also both Scale 3 Media.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to retain those accounts because the accounts from Scale 3 Media, from all of the history that I had the best performance for me. So I wanted to keep those accounts too if I could, right?
Right.
But the new account that they issued for me was GDN Global 30,
Different company.
different company.
Also a broker or
Also brokered through them, right? But different owned by a different media company.
got it.
But that account after a day and a half has had 0 conversions on it at $100 a day. I spent $150 across that account, 0 conversions,
Same ads?
same ads. So that's really, really interesting too. So I'm really glad that I have. So at this point, I've structured it in such a way where I have my fee oriented account that converts pretty well from the badge BM that's like a constant stable point for me. And then I have my Scale 3 Media, which got throttled, which is looking okay right now. I have a Scale 3 Media for the tablet that looks stable. And I have a Scale 3 Media that has barely any spend on it that I use for the wheel for a little bit, but it's also there. So I have my safety net from Scale 3 Media,
Right.
right? But I'm really glad that I was able to test the GDN Global account because, like, that doesn't look to be converting for me at all.
Why would it not convert with the same inputs from a different ad account?
Because I can't identify how much Facebook does or doesn't trust GDN Global 30 account.
So if Facebook doesn't trust that account, then it won't push.
It may not convert as well,
Hmm.
right? Or if it doesn't have enough history, it may not convert as well, right? It depends on the general history of the business manager that it's originating from and the media company it's originating from.
Hmm.
And I don't have clear tracking for where that comes from, right? So that's another factor there too. That's why different ad accounts can perform differently. It actually is a factor of the media and business manager that they're owned by as well.
So are you being given access to this? You said GDM?
GDN,
GDN.
Nancy. Yeah.
So are you working with GDN or are you working with a broker that provided GDN?
I'm only working through Ad Revival, the
So
main
can you
broker.
tell Ad Revival, hey, you've brokered me this ad account that isn't converting compared to those other ones. Give me a different one.
Well, what's interesting is that they have right now the only accounts that they have access to are GDN Global 20 and GDN Global 30. And GDN Global 30, which I got, is supposed to be the higher converting one.
Jesus.
Yeah. So now I'm like thinking, I'm sitting back there and I'm like, okay, like I got to be. And so now there's another way or factor of like, if Scale 3 Media has performed the best for me in the past and these new accounts don't seem to be performing at all, I really need to protect my accounts as much as I can,
Right.
right? Because I only have
Three.
3 and I can't get more unless I like potentially find a way to get them directly through Scale 3 Media, but I don't even know if they're around anymore because there's minimal information online about them.
Right. Well, and if the GDN, like if GDN is your only option, if all the Scale 3 stuff goes away, those aren't viable because is already showing that it's not working. And then if they have another company that is newer than GDN but also doesn't work, then you're gonna
Yeah.
have to switch your broker.
So
You're
now
with
that
different.
adds another way of complexity of how do I protect my business,
Right.
right? And so that's where it's like that's where it was a really interesting week because it was high stress, um, but it was slow paced.
Yeah.
So it's like you can look at an account and like, is it spending okay? Is it not spending okay? What's going on with it? Do I have enough funds for this? Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But Facebook, like, you can't fucking like tinker with shit.
Right.
You just gotta leave it.
Right.
And so like the stress is literally like just sitting back and being like, I think I've done everything correctly to as much knowledge as I've been able to gather. And I think that this gives me the highest probability of success. There's nothing else I can do. Like, I just have to let it ride. Like that stress is stressful, especially when they give you an account that's supposed to be high converting, a new one, and it converts nothing,
Yeah.
right? Because then it's like you now you can see the grass on the other side of the hill
Right.
and you realize that it's like all mud.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh
oh,
shit. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
so now that's another factor, right?
Yeah.
And so it was stressful from that perspective of like, oh, I really got to protect the accounts. Now, what I'm really glad and my mentor suggested this to me, and I took it to like a whole nother level. He's like, always have backup accounts. Always have backup accounts. And I'm so glad that I didn't cancel my subscriptions on those 2 accounts I didn't use for months,
Right.
because I wouldn't have had another Scale 3 backup right now.
Right.
Right?
Well, and can Scale 3 get shut down in its entirety and then knock out all 3 of your
Well,
Scale accounts at once?
I mean, I don't own Scale 3 Media, so I mean, I guess that's potential, but I mean, if they own an account that's giving them money passively, I don't see it as likely that they would cut that account.
Well, when I'm thinking about risk from this perspective, if you get an account shut down, sucks, but you have backups, thank God. But if you lose one of your 3, you're gonna wanna replace it with at least 1, if not 2, like a Hydra head, right?
Yeah.
And if that happens, you have to go with GDN, right?
Well, I can also use the feed account, which does convert pretty well. It
Right.
does convert well.
So you would open another feed account to
I
replace
would use the current one that I have. I have 2 of them. One of them I haven't used at all.
backup.
Completely stagnant backup.
Right.
No history.
Right.
The one I have used, so this is part of my plan. I'm gonna be used because that's a badged business manager that owns it. It's like
Okay.
super strong account. I'm gonna be using that for Q4 product testing,
Okay.
because I can run with security.
You could take
I can
risks.
run slightly more risk, run different products on the same ad account, run them in different campaigns, and be a little bit not aggressive, but a little bit more bullish in how I approach um the spend and the performance and the running,
Right.
because it's a very, very stable account.
Right.
And so that's what I'm going to use it for. And that other one that I have from the feed account, the completely zero history blank one, that will be used as complete emergency backup for the ground phone.
Got it.
Like, only ground phone. Like, if all shit hits the fan,
You
I
still
got
have some.
nothing.
Got it.
That account I have.
Got
And that is from the same business manager that converted well for the account I have been using from them.
it. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So that's there's security there. Right. But like, coordinating all this and figuring this all out and trying to understand this and why this stuff is happening, why I have issues, like, that is a whole process. Now, something else I asked my mentor this week, I was like, is there value? Because is there value in starting a new business manager that has my own ad account in it that I own, and doing extremely low spend on it and ramping up very slowly over the course of like months,
Mhm.
and just building history and trust in that. Just building that history and trust
In, like, a doomsday scenario?
in a complete doomsday scenario. Because another thing that I have to consider is that Facebook has been cracking down on business managers, like people who have pixels that are like shared through a a business manager. And like, let's say a company has a big business manager and they have a bunch of pixels, and then they lease out those pixels to other people,
Right.
essentially to like give pixel stability. Because it's like, hey, I have this trusted business manager. I'm going to lease the pixel over to you. You can use it in your account, but the stability is here, right? There's companies that do that. I have one of those pixels. That's why I got the backup pixel in case that business manager goes down. I still have the data.
Right.
Um, Now that um, Facebook has been cracking down on those leased style business managers.
Hmm.
Some of them. And so I'm looking at it into the future, and with AI, stuff like that, or stuff that seems a little bit gray space, right? It's not technically gray space. It's like completely legal.
Right.
But like, a policy change can change that,
A
right?
fucking Facebook AI would be the
Right, right.
be the fucking worst.
Right. And so I'm thinking about like, what is the cleanest, simplest way that has the lowest probability for things to change because of a policy change. It's like, that's if I have my own business manager with my own account that I created that's not shared from anywhere.
Right.
And everything is shared internally to me. Even if I have the pixel in a different business manager, it's internal to my own stuff.
Right. There's no one else fucking with
That is
leasing it
the
out.
strongest.
Right.
But the problem is that I have to have, like, I had a lot of credit card issues. I had a lot of issues in the beginning when I tried to do this.
Right.
So I have to be very slow with it, and I have to build up trust over an extended period of time.
Right.
So something else I'm going to be looking into in the coming weeks is starting that business manager up,
Mhm.
a separate one, with a completely different line of credit, with a completely different name and number that I can issue through one of my banks, because I can issue virtual cards with completely different names and card numbers.
Got it.
So that it doesn't link to any past credit history that I've had with like Chase flagging stuff or whatever, right? I had that issue. And so I can do that and then run it very, very slowly.
Right.
And that will be like if policy changes happen in Facebook, which are starting to happen and could potentially escalate in the future, I have some security,
Right.
right? So that's something else that I'm looking into. And so this week was like a lot of like in the weeds on top of like, first half of my week going into like the avatar and the ads and understanding why my ads have not worked and like looking at them and realizing like, damn, like these ads just don't work.
Right.
On top of that, it's been like, okay, like how do I structure myself best in order to stabilize myself as best I can,
Right.
right? And so also talking with my mentor about it and then talking with ChatGPT a lot, right?
Yeah. My
Um,
good friend chat.
yeah, my good friend Chat.
Yeah.
So that's been a big process.
Yeah.
Um, and so that is um a vast majority of the stuff I have for business. Just as a broad strokes stuff, the tablet ads didn't really perform well. Oh, this was interesting. I ran the partnered ads that I had. Remember I talked about those partner ads that are like when you see an ad, it'll have the creator and you
Oh,
stay
yes.
together,
Yeah.
right? I ran those ads with the tablet ads,
Right.
new campaign all together. My ads, those partner ads together. Partner ads performed terribly, terrible on all metric fronts, worse than my stuff did,
Hmm.
which is really interesting. And I was going through the courses, and actually one of the courses talked about partner ads, and they were like, "Don't do this. Like,
Huh.
this isn't like your path to your path to scalability is not in partnered ads. It's in
Interesting.
you becoming a better marketer."
Hmm.
Um, and I think that kind of speaks to like no agency or no person will know the product and the research and the market better than you will know it, being that I've like you as in like me in this case,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Because I've sat with it for so long and dug into it for so long. Like
So don't have something
I
to
need
do
to
with
be the
selling.
vehicle to my success,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um and something else that I realized through all this process is I've especially going through the new how to build an advertisement courses, what I've realized is that I've been trying to hack my way to scalability, whether it's with text or no text, whether it's music or no music, whether it's length or long or short, or this visual or that visual or that. Like I've been trying to hack my way into a scalability
Hmm.
because I just had so much belief that the core of what I was creating was good and that it was just a Facebook issue.
Hmm.
And what I really realized this week is that, like, especially after going through the new courses, I was like, the base of the ads that I'm creating just don't convert well, and that's evidenced by the fact that, like, text or no text or colors or sounds or length don't matter for the ad that's performing well. Like, all that stuff kind of just, like, sucks and it's thrown together, but it's the core base that is authentic and real and speaks to a customer,
Right.
right? And so that's when it, like, really hit me this week. I was like, "Fuck," like, I've been trying to hack my way into an ad, but in reality, like I need to make ads that speak to a customer and I have set and now I have like a guideline of how to do that through targeting desires, wants and needs by implementing new mechanisms, like new ways to look at a given product in a market, and then new information about a given product or niche, whether that's screen free, whether that's education, whether that's lasting connection, whatever, right? Those combined together just to create compelling ads that speak to a customer and not worrying about the visuals, not worrying about text or no text, not worrying about music.
Hmm.
Because if you want to introduce that stuff to add it for a reason, that's good, but you're not going to be able to hack your way into a scalable ad through music or no music, text or no text. Right. And so that was something that was really interesting to me. It didn't really hit me until this week. I was like, fuck, like I really have been just like trying to hack my way into scalability, but in reality, I need to go back to the core fundamentals because that is primarily the only thing that I genuinely think's clear and core fundamentals make the winning ad win. Like that's why it wins. It's not some color thing. It's not some like length thing. It's not some voiceover like audio sound thing. Like it's just clear and it's honest.
I think it's kind of like aerodynamics on a car, where it's like if you have a powerful engine and you have a really great aero package with a consistent downforce in low speed and high speed
Mhm.
corners, you can be really fast, right? But if you don't have a high powered engine, it doesn't matter how much aero you have because you're going to lose that to the car with more horse. This is the Camaro NASCAR thing that they brought to Le Mans a few years ago,
Mm,
right? Where it was like it had zero aero, right? but it beat everything out because it had 40% more horsepower than every other
Yeah.
car on the grid, right? Because it had a really strong core, a really
Yeah.
strong fundamental.
Or it also, something else that I thought of this week too was, remember Miklo way back when he talked about the jet engines that he built for Jaguar, I believe. It was Jaguar or
Rolls-Royce?
Rolls-Royce maybe. They had like 20 different compressor stages. Remember
Okay.
this? Like the jet engine had like 20 different layers of compressor,
Yeah.
right? And he got into that program and he was like, "Let's do 8. Let's do 8 stages of compression and let's just make each meaningful and each good." And
Mhm,
it completely changed the power output of the jet engine.
mhm,
That's what I felt like in this is like, I've been trying to like hack my way into a winning ad through like just adding like more layers of compressor on there. But in reality, I just need to make the layers that I have better.
mhm,
And better by targeting a target customer through desires, wants, and needs by implementing new information and new mechanisms that I have outlined for me. And
mhm,
I just need, and something else that I want to try this week is that I always go to AI to try and revise stuff, right? Because I've been trying to hack my way into an ad. So I'm like trying to like, how do I make this a little bit shorter? How do I make this a little bit this or that, or whatever, right? Like I just want to write 3 different ads just as I'm speaking them and just try those. Like, it's just 3 ads. I've made 341. It's not like, bridge isn't gonna sink, right? Because, right, like, I'll just make 3 ads or 6 ads like that of just, like, clear, honest, like, this is what it is, right? And just see how they do,
right.
right? And that's an inspiration from the courses and stuff that I've taken. Because one of the things that I said in the courses is, like, a lot of you guys are trying to you're trying to market your product as something that it's not because you're trying to blow the claim out of proportion,
Mhm,
right? And to people, it just seems unrealistic, and that's why it doesn't convert,
right.
right? And I don't think I've blown the claim out of proportion, right? But I've like throttled this like weird gray area where it's like nothing really sticks. It's not making some crazy claim, but it's also not really claiming any like anything deep and core and honest about the product. It's just kind of surface, but it doesn't connect with anyone.
Mhm,
And so that's what I've kind of learned this week through these advertisements. And so inspiration of that, I'm creating obviously new video advertisements and like the AI stuff, like, that was like I'm not gonna hack my way into something AI, right? I'm not gonna hack my way into a winning ad through the implementation of AI. Like it could be AI, it could be UGC, it could be static, right? That's why like big brands, like sometimes just photo ads work so well.
mhm,
It's because they're just clear and they speak to a certain, that's why memes work so well,
mhm.
right? Even static memes, right? Um, and so that's something that I kind of really realized this week. And then paired with that, of course, after the split test is over, I'll be looking at I'll be adding the Q4 holiday style upsell products
Mhm,
and running TikTok style ads
mhm.
to those through the badged business manager
Yeah.
with the feed spend because that's super, super stable. It's separated. Like I can run that. No
Are you gonna run Christmas themed ads?
problem. Yeah, yeah, I might like if I have some, yeah, for sure.
I think that gramophones when I think of Christmas decor,
Hmm.
what I think of is, like, wreaths, cornucopias, gramophones, candlesticks
Yeah,
type shit.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that vibe of, like,
Family nostalgia and home.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like made of wood and brass in, like, low level warm lighting
yeah.
type of things is what I think of, and like, if you were to hire there's these people, Chip and Joanna. It's this couple that
Mhm.
did a TV show that essentially they helped people buy a home and then they renovated it and then they, like, did the big unveiling at the end of the show, right?
Yeah,
So, like, their specialty was, like, taking a home the guy's job was like, "Okay, there's a hole in the roof, let's fix that." And the woman's job was, "I'm gonna paint it these colors and I'm gonna put these finishing details on it," right? So their whole job was to have a warehouse of, like, stuff, like Hobby Lobby, basically, of, like, just things that they would go put in a house. And everyone loved the show so much, they started selling that at Target. So when you walk around Target, are you familiar? It's like back by the groceries kind of. All the shelves are made of wood and like all the stuff on there is very like aesthetically pleasing and like maybe not functional at all.
yeah.
That is their section. They have subleased that section of Target
Got
and
it.
they sell those products, right? And when I think about that kind of stuff for Christmas, Gramophone is one of the things that I think of,
Yeah.
and I think that that pairs well because it is kind of it fits the style of Christmas, but it's also a toy, so it's kind of like a blend between the 2.
Yeah.
I think that Christmas ads could go well.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely could. Now, it's something that I'm also considering is my ability to sell in the fourth quarter of the year is obviously higher because people have more incentive to buy,
Right.
right? So I can sell more. But I also have like a solid 9 other months out of the year
Mhm.
where I need to make this profitable.
Right.
And so actually something that I've kind of thought of this week is like I'll try to I'm going to try and do some basic style Christmas ads, especially like promotional ads for the gramophone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go I've changed my perspective on going crazy on more UGC content
Mhm.
because I have a lot of UGC content, and especially after realizing that I think I have enough, I just haven't made compelling enough ads.
Right.
I think that's really put like a nail in the board for me of like, hey, like I just need to do more I need to do more, and I need to do it targeted towards learning and growing and understanding.
Right.
And part of that growth path as well is thinking about the first quarter of next year, which will potentially be the worst quarter
Mhm.
that I have, right? And so thinking about it, part of this account prep is also thinking about, if instability happens in the fourth quarter when I'm trying to scale up and down promotional campaigns and stuff like that, how do I protect myself, right? But also, how do I defend myself coming into the first quarter of the year? How do I set myself up there? And then also, part of the thing that's important to me is understanding why this branding failed, right?
Right.
Because the branding should have worked well. And I actually reserved a hour-long call with the marketing director from Patrick Bet David, the person I
Mm.
talked to for a while.
So,
Um,
this is the marketing director of that big company.
Valuetainment, yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Be cool.
his big company.
Yep.
I booked an hour with her, which is $300 for an hour. It's
Mhm.
not cheap.
Right.
But I talked with her on the phone, and she was like, "Send me a message through, Minect is the platform they use, and I'll look at your branding." And I was like, "Man," like, I was looking at the messages, and the messages were, like, limited to 1,000 characters. I was like, "I can't."
It's not a Sander email.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I can throw in the links at 1,000 characters,
Right.
right? Like, it's nothing. And so I was looking at this, and I was like, and I was also looking at how much I spent on this rebranding, and it's like on top of like the 2,500-ish initially flat, like I've had approximately 6 or 700 just in buying and shipping all of the little trinkets.
Right.
Um, I've spent money on individual calls as well outside of this. And then on top of that, like if the revenue performance actually continues to be this low, right? Like I've already lost over like 2 or 3 grand in potential revenue just
Mhm.
this last week because of the rebranding, right?
Right,
So,
which is what you spent to hire the branding person to begin with.
right. And it's a 2 week long split test, right? So it's like looking at this, it's like I probably have, including the profit loss,
Mhm.
I probably have 4 to 5 grand invested in this rebranding. And at that point, it's worth it for me to pay $300 to someone who's been in marketing to some of the biggest companies in the world to tell me why it failed,
Yeah.
right? And so I booked an hour with her and sent an agenda, and I was like, "This is what I want to go through." And a lot of it is going through the branding, then some advertising structure for Q4 and Q1.
Mhm.
How do I layer that in? How do I strategically approach that? And then additionally, advertising, just her perspective on advertising.
Yeah.
And, because I had a long conversation with her about advertising. I have a pretty good idea of that, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on it.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in the understanding Q4 into Q1. How do I prepare myself best? And understanding the branding and understanding main high leverage focus points and what she's seen work for different brands that she's worked with. Um, and so I booked an hour long call with her for that, um, to try to understand that. And it's definitely a process,
Mm.
right? Like it's interesting because it's like you just like I look at the road ahead and I'm like, there is like every day I realize how much more I have to learn. And it's like the road seems to grow faster than I can walk it, right? But like I know at a certain point my ability to walk will get quicker. And additionally, the road will have milestones that I'll be able to hit. And I just have to keep walking. Right. And so that's largely my business update this week. I mean, that captures everything.
Let me show you this real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it, fucking load. I hate my goddamn service here sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this the right one?
Informed pessimism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're down at like 3 or
I'm like
4.
2.6. Yeah.
For audio, this is the Alex Ramosi entrepreneurial life cycle where it moves from uninformed optimism to informed pessimism to, it says here, crisis of meaning. I know this is the valley of despair.
Yeah.
Then you move up to informed optimism and then eventually achievement, right? But the road gets longer the more I walk is the valley of despair. That's where you're heading.
Yeah.
That's where you're looking at.
Yeah. It's like
What's
I'm
your-
down somewhere in that curve.
When is your call with the marketing director?
November 11th. So it will be after the split test is
Perfect. That's exactly what I was going to ask because
Yeah.
you don't want to do it before the end of the
No, I don't want to do it too early. And also at this point, like, yes, I can capitalize on Q4. I think I can do some simple things that will yield higher return results, right? I can do some easy stuff like that. But I'm also focused on how do I best prepare myself for the next 9 months up until the next Q4. And then on top of that, so I've started looking at stuff on a longer time horizon too. Is like this Q4 is a really, really good learning experience. It's also my first fourth quarter. Like if I take these warnings and effectively execute them, and in the first, second, and third quarters, really build up something super strong, like I can slaughter in the fourth quarter next year.
That's where
Right.
Grace and I are looking right now. Right now is like the slowest that the real estate market has been
Oh,
in like
interesting.
a decade, right? And it's like right now is it's completely fucked if you're helping to sell a home because no one is buying because everyone is waiting for interest rates to drop. Everyone is at a point with their equity in their home where they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
So like having to sell a home right now sucks. People will list a home and then it will be listed for like 100 days, genuinely, which
Whoa.
a healthy market is like 30 days, meaning that you're going under contract in like the first week and people aren't getting under contract for months. So like right now is probably the worst time to sell a home. So everyone that I've been talking to and showing my listing timeline and stuff like that, they're like, "Yeah, this is great, dude, but like right now is a terrible time to sell a home." And I'm like, "That's exactly the best time to be learning though." Is like if we get good at it now or even decent at it now,
Yeah.
when the market is hot in a year and a half from now, when everything bounces back, we're going to go gangbusters.
Yeah.
Like you build resiliency in the hard times because right now everyone else is going to not want to do it and then they're going to want to buy Bitcoin at its peak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you talked to your branding lady about this? The one who's helped you make these ads?
No, not yet. Because
This doesn't go out for another week, so you can
yeah,
say
I
whatever
know.
you want.
Well, no, she's
I'm fucking.
so this is an important life lesson for me too, right? Um, but no, I haven't really mentioned any of the metrics. I said that the results were interesting. That's all I've said.
Asked.
They did ask, and I told them it was interesting.
Got it.
I told them it wasn't statistically significant enough yet to make a definitive claims either way, but the results are interesting.
Got it.
Um,
I'm sure they're
no,
freaking out.
what?
I said I'm sure they're freaking out.
Well, I don't know, but it's regardless of how the conversation goes, I mean I've been honest this entire time, and I've paid her and paid her well, and been very clear about the bonus structure. It is a performance based bonus.
Right.
If it does not perform, there is no bonus.
Right.
It is performance based.
Right.
Right.
Well, you said, we'll share the outcome, right? So if there's a positive outcome, they get some money. If it's a negative outcome, do they pay you?
No, they don't. They don't have any liability.
just-
Right. You're right. Exactly. But it's like, I understand you put a lot of effort into this, and maybe you felt you should have been paid more. I feel like I paid you generously, and I offered a very generous bonus based on performance.
Right.
And if there's no performance, I can't offer a performance based bonus.
It's a really difficult ask to say that you should be paid more if it's not working.
Well, my point is like, I understand that, like, if the conversation goes that way, it's like, I understand that you're looking forward to a potential bonus. It was a performance based bonus, but B, if you look at this from a bird's eye view, you got access to tools that I paid for in order to build a brand that you hadn't built before. You got experience out of this. You got different experience and learning tools, and you got paid to do it within Shopify and marketing and media. You got to test your vision without any expense to you on my dollar,
Right.
and I paid for it, and I'm not asking for any money back because it didn't perform. I'm just informing me that I can't offer the bonus that was performance based because it didn't perform.
Right.
Like this was like zero risk condition to her
Right.
at all.
Well, she
Like,
got paid up
and I
front.
paid up front,
Yep.
right? This is like,
Well, then they had the audacity to ask for more, like, halfway
well, no,
through.
no, I don't know what they're gonna ask for, right?
Well, no, I mean, like, previously, they were like, "This isn't what I signed up for, so I'm doing this as extra," but it wasn't extra, it was what you paid them
It
in the
was
first place, right?
extra in the sense of like they were doing it in anticipation of a bonus,
Right.
right? And I was very clear in all my emails and all my communications. It is
Right.
performance based, and I had a grid lined out of like, this is how I calculate it.
Yeah.
This is how it will be determined. Exact numbers.
Right.
This is protocol, and I even had protocol lined out of this is how I'll test the ads.
Right.
I'll test them an umbrella CBO campaign. If they don't get spent after 7 days, which they didn't,
Right.
or they didn't get over 75% of the total daily spend on any given day over 7 days, right?
Right.
Then I will move them into a separate test campaign on their own with $100 allocated budget over the 3 days.
Right.
If it's below break even, if it's 25% below break even RAWs, they'll be cut after 3 days. If it's at break even RAWs,
Right.
it'll run for 7 days and then reassessment will happen from there. If it's 25% above break even RAWs, averaged over 3 days, then I'll scale it up accordingly.
Right.
Right. Like all of this stuff is broken down.
Yeah.
And they agreed to it. And, I potentially I can understand why they would be upset with the fact that there won't be a bonus offered if the site doesn't perform.
Dude, I don't.
But what people want money, right?
Yeah, but this is
Um,
the equivalent of a customer contacting you and saying, "I can't figure out how to buy the gramophone. Can I just pay you extra to do it for me?" And then you go, "Sure, pay me double." And so then they pay you double. And then you have the gramophone sent to their house, and then it arrives and it's black, not blue, and it's playing everything in Chinese and there's no music. It's just like demonic chanting. And they're like, "This is not what I paid a lot of money for, sir." And they're upset with you, right? And rightfully so. Like they didn't get what they paid for, right?
yeah.
So like they're
But I'm
gonna
not
demand
gonna
a refund.
upset about it, right?
Right.
It's like,
No, 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 no.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is like if any of the two parties should be unhappy in this situation, it's the one who paid money for a product that didn't
exactly,
deliver.
exactly.
Right. So there shouldn't I would not expect like I would hope for a situation in which both parties are concerned at the results and are bummed that happened that way and want to work toward making it better. Right.
Yeah,
Not getting upset because one party isn't going to be getting more money for a product that doesn't work to begin with, right? I do not think that that's the way it's going to go. If that is the way that it's going to go, then that tells you a lot about the character of that person. And y-
right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's informational regardless of how it goes,
yeah.
right? But yeah, I mean, I forgot how I got back on that. Regardless.
Well, you were talking about I asked if they had asked and you said no, and then
Oh, the branding meeting that I'm having with the marketing woman from
no, the
Facebook.
person who you paid to make all the ads and stuff. I asked if they had asked you how it went, and
Oh,
you were saying no, but they're not going to get a bonus because it's not making any money. But at the same time, you
I
could
mean,
say, "Hey, I'm not charging you money for the amount that I'm losing out on here. I'm not charging you the opportunity cost."
yeah, yeah. I mean, I paid them to create a vision
Right.
that they saw and believed in that vision together. And I think that the vision can potentially make money, but I think it will obviously, evidenced by the data,
Hmm.
need to be changed, adjusted, and tested,
Right.
which will cost me more money
Right.
to do that. And so if I'm going to go that route, it will cost me more,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so it's essentially me digging into the hole um, on the bet that I can find gold.
Right.
And for that, I can't offer a performance-based bonus.
Yeah. If I
No.
if I sell you a race cart that you go do laps in, and I promise you they're gonna do minute 20 lap times, and they do minute 30 lap times, and then you do a bunch of suspension changes, and you change the way that the intake is configured, and you change the cooling system, and then you go do 120 lap times. I can't then request more money from you because now you're doing it. As you had to do it a bunch of extra effort.
Yeah, I had to
Right.
I had to revamp the
Right.
framework, right?
Right.
Um, and I think this is interesting too because throughout the process, I really like the way the site came out, but throughout the process,
Me too.
I tried to simplify things down.
Yeah.
And I got some pushback, and I largely folded under that pushback. Because I was like, you know what, like they can do it their way once, I can always do it my way later. That was my perspective,
Replicate, then iterate.
right? And so I was like, and so part of the thing this week too was like a lot of the stuff I pushed back on was just like simplifying things, like variant selector,
Mhm.
right? Stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's cool. Like, I'll let them do it their way. I'll do it my way later if I want to, right?
Right.
Um, and I think that part of my lesson last week, I was like, you gotta be able to like trust in yourself to be able to grow,
Yep.
right? And that really resonated with me this week too. Of like, yeah, I think I need to just trust the process a little bit more, and not to say that I haven't trusted the process. I mean, making 341 ads that don't convert and you spend thousands of dollars across. I mean, I'd say that's at least like some perseverance there.
What do you
Um,
mean by trust the process?
like continue to work in myself to get better and to understand that I am the vehicle for my success,
Mhm.
and that um at the end of the day this is also like my business and my decision on where I go with it. And if I have been in this business for 10 months and I have clear evidence to suggest that clear beats clever,
Mhm.
then I should advocate for clear, and the
Sure.
people that I work with should be clear,
Right.
right? And or clear in their product,
Right.
right? And so like stuff like that is like I need to be able to trust my learnings. I can't
Mhm.
relearn everything every time,
Right.
right? And I think this was an important lesson because I think it is really valuable to allow someone to work in their niche and in their space to build something, right? I think the balance is in how do I apply my learnings to more effectively propel them forward,
Right.
right? But then in addition to that, um, how like how do so I think I did a lot of stuff really well in terms of like giving them the tools, right? Like I shipped stuff out, overnighted it, right? Bought a bunch of different trinkets that they wanted in order to include. Like I
When you did all the
so
online stuff.
all of the of software coding development, like all this stuff, like I did a lot of back end to try and make their life as easy as possible.
Right.
Um, but at the end of the day, like um that I need to be able to weave in my learnings to someone that I bring on and allow them to work in their niche,
Right.
right? And I think an also a really important lesson out of this is to if you're gonna put your eggs in one basket, make sure that there's associated um give or take on either side, right? A performance based payment, right?
Right.
Like there's got to be incentive for both in that
Right.
sense. And then in addition to that, um, people who have proof rather than people proof outbeats belief in oneself.
Yeah. Proof over promise.
Proof over promise,
Right.
right? And I think yeah, proof over promise is a better way to phrase it. I think belief in yourself is important and fundamental, right? But belief is like
No, I understand.
it's what keeps you going, right? But yeah, proof over promise, I think is
Proof over trust me, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it sounds stupid in retrospect, right? Because it sounds so obvious, like when you're looking at well, it's like well, duh. But it's like sometimes when you're in that moment and you're really going for it, there can be times where the promise will win out, and then there can be times where the promise doesn't win out.
Mhm.
But proof very consistently has tended to perform.
Yeah.
And so it's a bet either way, and it's just about the bet you want to take and how much risk is associated with it through like performance-based bonus or upfront pay or stuff like that.
Right.
And that balancing act, I think, has been an important kind of umbrella lesson that I've had.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very glad I'm going through this process because I think this is building me into someone who will be able to manage the business at a higher level,
Mhm.
right? And as a last tidbit, as a kind of like fun little tidbit, I was $40 away from hitting a 30K month this month.
Sweet, dude.
If I didn't have the ad account down, I would have
Mhm.
very likely hit it. Like I would have hit it for sure.
Well, most of this month was good
Yeah, most of this month was good.
before the split
Yeah,
test.
I was this close to. I wanted to document this on here, but I was
Right.
this close to a 30K month. I was watching it. I got one order at 11:55. That bumped me up to $40 away. I was like,
Do I just buy
so
one
close.
close out?
I
Yeah.
saw 2 visitors online right then, and I was like, "Come on, buy. I wanna buy."
They both went to the new website.
12:01, I got a $55 order.
Fuck.
I missed it by, like, a minute and a
Yeah.
half, minute and change.
I'll
I
say
missed it.
congratulations.
Almost
I won't finish it
yeah,
'cause it's a
congratulations.
little
It's a congratulation.
it's
Yeah.
a congratulations. I'm not finishing the word because you're just that close, but that's so awesome, dude.
Yeah, so close to that, and that would have been a cool, milestone, right?
Right, right, right.
Like, oh man, like, 30K month for, 31 days this month, right? So a little bit of a cheat code, but it's like that's like a milestone that I
Right.
want to hit, right? And so, but hopefully coming into November with the stability that I've built in and that other stuff, I'll be able to achieve that and beyond, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
But my mentor almost hit $1 million a month, which is wild. He was 900 and something, and I haven't said his name on the podcast, so it's
Okay.
safe to say.
I don't think I even know his name off the podcast.
So,
It doesn't.
yeah,
That's awesome. Then.
but yeah, he almost hit if he didn't have the pixel issue and stuff like that, he would have very likely hit it.
Do you know what his margins are? Do you know what his net is?
Right now he's in scaling protocol, so I don't know. I think it's I don't know. I think it's probably somewhere around 10%. I think if he were to scale down, it would probably be around 2025.
Got it.
But like I don't know for sure.
Right.
At the end of the day, if you have $1 million a month rolling through a business,
Yeah.
you're at least able to live. Right. Like, at the end of the day, like, okay.
Unless you're split testing and it's like fucking real, you're only making $50 a month.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, the probability of you flowing $1 million through an e-com business, like, and not taking home something to make your wife comfortable is unlikely.
You and I both know a local business that does like fucking 80K a month and like doesn't make anything.
That is true. That is true.
Mass flow in, mass flow out.
Yeah.
It depends.
But with
dropshipping's
e-com, it's
That's
different,
yeah,
right?
it's
Because
overhead.
you literally, like, your performance is just based on like your choice of scalability, right? And
Have you
OBS,
seen
right?
his winning ad?
No,
You should ask him to show it.
I know. I should. I feel bad.
Why?
Well,
He's your mentor.
He showed me. I know, but like he showed me some of his winners and stuff like that, and he always gives me advice. I don't know. Just I've never asked. Yeah.
I mean, $1 million a month ad. I would be really curious to see if it's anywhere near.
Oh well, he's found more winners at this point. So I actually asked him last week. Yeah, I didn't let you know that, but he's actually got multiple winners now.
Got it. And he's shown you those.
I haven't seen the ads themselves. I've seen the revenue out of his store and stuff like that.
You should ask him to see the ads. See what it says. See if he'll gatekeep. See if he'll say no.
I don't know. He's a good guy though. He's always.
I'm sure he'll say.
I mean, for the like 170 a month or a week that I pay him.
Yeah.
Like the value, like it's, to have someone with that's like even willing to like answer my dumbass questions about pixel data, like it's nice because like the thing about the AI is awesome, but AI wants to agree with you, right? Which is a problem.
Yeah.
Right. But then on top of that too, like AI doesn't have quite the proof or experience in some of these areas to be able to assess things beyond, oh, that looks like a warning, must be scary. And so it'll just like fear monger into you, like, right? Like, and like do all these like tips and tricks to like fix it. And then like I text my mentor about it. I'm like, is this legit? And he's like, don't worry about it because of X and Z. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's nice to have that,
I've found more inconsistencies with AI lately too, where it'll say something like, for example, I had an issue on my Instagram earlier this week when I was trying to make a real estate post and I wanted to put a specific song on the post, but I couldn't find that song in the Instagram music database. And Grace told me it's because we have business accounts and the business accounts are getting throttled back on what music they can play. You have to have a creator account. And I was like, oh, well, if it's a creator account, I ChatGPT'd it and ChatGPT said, if you have a creator account, you can't manage ads through Business Manager. You have to do all the ads through Instagram, which is a non-negotiable for me. I have to be able to do it through my manager.
Yeah.
And then Grace said, oh, my ChatGPT is saying the opposite. And so then I looked at the two of them and then I told my ChatGPT what hers was saying. And then it was like, oh, yep, that's right. And I was like, what? Dude, fucking what? Like I think that the prompting is something that I could get better at where what I'm doing is I'm asking a blanket question with no like extra information. And then I'm giving it the input. I'm giving it the new information that I have discovered, which is leading it down a path of like wanting to make me happy. And or wanting to reaffirm what my suspicion is, right? Even if it's not making me happy, even if it's like, oh yeah, no, you're totally right. That is a bad place to go because you think it's bad.
Yeah. I think it kind of plays on, Hermosi mentioned this a while back. He was like, AI, at least at this point, isn't a threat to people's jobs directly, because or some people's jobs directly, because the high performers only do better because of AI.
Right.
It's the low performers that just count on it to just tell you stuff that won't be aided by it directly, and those are the people that, like, will have to find some other, like, income likely, right?
Right.
Because people will get cut eventually because of AI implementation, but
Right.
for people that work hard and perform well, like, AI is a help to those people like you
Yeah.
and I,
Yeah.
right? So, but that's a very long-winded business update. It was a very, very kinda jumbled, busy planning, ad account stuff, and
Yeah.
understanding all these different things, but hopefully, when you wanna run ads, like, I have each week, I have a better and better understanding of, like,
Right.
what works, what doesn't work, and why the system worked the way it does. So hopefully that'll be
I think it will.
help you in your ad journey
I think it
when
will.
you jump on it.
So this week you're gonna let the split test finish up
Yep.
2 weeks. You're gonna cut the UGC ads because they're tanking.
Yeah, I cut them already.
Got it.
Um, I'm gonna take the top 5 and put them in an ad set on the umbrella just to see how it goes. But yeah, this week, split test to continue going. Looking at the advertisers the rebranding person built to see how they perform in that separate campaign.
Yeah.
Continuing to walk through the courses for a second time and really build out the research and understanding of desires, new mechanisms, and new information in order to create ads that actually speak to the customer rather than just surface level grays and don't speak to anyone.
Right.
Um, and also some Q4 planning, some small Q4 planning, but I'm most focused on advertisements and building those out, implying that I don't have more ad account issues. I really hope that stuff can start to stabilize now because that put a massive, because I had planned to make more ads this week.
Right.
But that, like, the process between all those accounts, ensuring that they're funded, like, all that stuff went through, like, it was time consuming to go through on the podcast. It was like 10x more time consuming to
Right.
go through, like,
Right.
live this week, right?
Do you think you're gonna run Black Friday stuff?
Yeah, I think I'll run a simple promotional ad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get carried away because part of my thinking too is that I can utilize the fourth quarter as a lift and I can utilize the big swing opportunities as a lift, but I really need to understand how I'm going to make this work for the next 9 months too.
Right.
And that's a much bigger question than, like, how do I get the best bang for my buck out of it? Right?
Right.
Like, I'll put some effort into it and put some promotional ads out there. But I'm not gonna, like, I'm going to use this fourth quarter as a learning experience with the understanding that I'm not going to maximize on my fourth quarter ability, but also with the understanding that if I were to try to maximize on the fourth quarter opportunity, I would likely completely squash
Right.
any potential I have for the next 9 months. And then I may have an awesome fourth quarter that I'll be forced to either make ride out for the next 9 months,
Right.
or I'll have to, get another source of income to supplement it, right? So,
Yeah.
just trying to play my cards as strategically as I can, capitalize on the simple opportunities that I can while also building longevity into the business.
You know what's crazy is that Spirit Halloween is a business that's entirely dedicated to the exact opposite. Where they're
Yeah,
really good only at Halloween and nothing else. So, like, all their shit sits in the warehouses
yeah,
for 11 months out of the year, and then 30 days a year, they book out a TJ Maxx and then, like, fill it with shit and sell, and that's it. It's so funny
yeah,
how it's like I think your approach is rational and probably best for the current situation, but it's so interesting to it's like how, Robert Kiyosaki says that good investors can make money in any kind of market, right? And so it's like in any type of situation, like, some kind of business will do well there.
yeah.
Spirit Halloween is interesting.
And Hormozy talks about both models when it comes to, like, I've heard him talk about Christmas tree lighting companies
Mhm.
that only work, couple months out of the year.
Right.
And he's like, I've seen both work where, um, 10 months out of the year they'll do windows and doors,
Yep.
and then 2 months out of the or something like that, and then 2 months out of the year they'll just do Christmas lights.
Right.
And then I've seen the other companies that literally sit idle for 9 months out of the year,
Right.
and then they'll just use all that time with just floating on past revenue
Yep.
to build, 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 and then absolutely kill in the 2, 3 months at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Right. And so both can work. I'm just trying at this point, I have so much to learn that my ability to like kill it in the fourth quarter, I think, is limited by my knowledge and understanding.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'd rather bank on building my knowledge and understanding for a long-term base rather than trying to cram knowledge and understanding of what I think will work in a short term and then completely axe my potential for the next few
Yeah.
months.
And use the natural lift to carry you through the learning period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Use the natural lift to expedite my learning,
Right.
right?
Right.
It'll be a better lift. Stuff will perform better. It'll be easier to make money so I can learn faster.
Right.
Right. So that's essentially my approach. But that's
Sweet.
very long business update. Sorry, that was
Awesome.
a long one.
No, you're good,
Holy
dude.
smokes.
It's why we do these things.
Fair enough, I guess. What is your business update?
Oh man, dude, I have so much less. Okay. So this week I have a lot less, but I'll start with a few of my more interesting notes. So we did open house number 22 in a row, haven't missed a single week. So I'm coming up on half a year of doing an open house every weekend.
Awesome.
And I
I saw
also,
it. It was the trick or treat
yeah.
ad. Yeah.
So we were kind of stuck last weekend when we were scheduling this weekend's because um, we have podcasts on Sunday. So generally Sundays are out for open houses, which is fine. Saturday open houses do better anyways. But Saturday we wanted to go to Eggfest, and doing an open house every weekend is a non-negotiable for me. Um, when I had first started real estate, I made a fast friend who has been in it for a year or two, and I was talking about wanting to get good at open houses, and he talked about how he does them all the time. He does like one or two a month, and I took that personally and thought to myself, how do I blow that out of the water? And the answer is at least one a week, no matter what. And I have yet to break that streak, and I fear that I'm going to continue that streak even after open houses aren't profitable for me anymore. Like I haven't had any sales or really gained any clients from open houses so far, but I have gained exposure. So it's good for me now, but I know at a certain point I'm going to have enough clients that open houses are going to kind of be a waste of time because my Facebook ads and referral outreach are going to be doing better. My social media is going to be doing better than open houses.
Mhm.
So I'm 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 setting the precedent now. I'm afraid I'm going to do it after it's no longer viable, right? But I did it anyways. And the idea that I had was if we can't do it Sunday and we can't do it Saturday, then let's do it Friday night. I'm no stranger to Friday night open houses. They usually don't do well. I think it's because it's a Friday night and people really don't give a shit. They want to go start their weekend. But sometimes you have people come through, sometimes you have good conversation. But Friday is Halloween. So we can do an open house and have an actual open house happening while we give out candy to kids. And so we did an open house in Satellite Beach by Gleason Park
Mhm.
and handed out candy to kids. And
Nice.
not a single person came into the house, but we had a handful of people stop by that were like, "Are you actually doing this right now?" We were like, "Yeah," and they were like, "That's really cool. Good job." So we had a few cool conversations, but like no one actually came through the open house.
Nice.
So far, I don't think I've done a single open house where not a single person has stepped foot in the house, and this was my first one. But it was still fun to advertise, and it was still fun to talk to neighbors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm counting it as a win, and we're working on Halloween. Most real estate agents don't work Fridays anyways, let alone on Halloween. So it's another opportunity for me to showcase that I work on weekends and
Yeah.
holidays, right? So that was still fun. Um, as a byproduct of that, I was on my computer on Halloween messing with shit, and I happened to look up my Google Business profile because those clients that I helped from West Virginia for months never left me a Google review. So now I'm having to follow up with them regularly to remind them to leave me a Google review because I'm not going to work for you for 3 months and then not close the deal and then also not get a Google review, right? And while I was in there, Google was giving me tips on how to improve my Google Business profile. And in there, it mentioned that I should log my holiday hours. And I realized that I have my hours set from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., which I had set initially when I made my Google account because I want people to know that they can't call me at 2 a.m. and expect an answer or 6 a.m. and expect an answer, right? But then I thought about it and I was like, it looks so much worse in a Google profile to have 8 to 11 than just say 24 hours, right? Because generally speaking, I'll pick up the phone whenever for clients. So why do I have it set as 11,
Mm.
8 to 11, right? It's me being over specific when it's sending the wrong message. So I changed it to 24 hours. And then I also filled out all of my holiday days for you can call me anytime. And when I was updating that, I updated a few other things to complete your profile in Google. I added a profile photo, which I didn't know I didn't have before, photos of the business, so like of the office and stuff. And then I looked up some of the top agents that I know about and saw what their profiles look like, and then mirrored some of those things over to mine as well. Funny enough, some of the top agents have like very little in their Google business profile. They have a lot of reviews. And so that's what really
Mm.
carries them, I think. So that message is sending me, oh, your business profile probably doesn't matter as much as the amount and quality of reviews that you have. Um, but in any case, I want my profile to be complete no matter what, because eventually I intend to run Google ads, so that when people search for real estate agents in Melbourne, I come up first. So I did some touch ups on that. And I also got a reply on my gift cards. So a while ago, I wrote letters to my high school teachers and I included a Starbucks gift card in there. And I was like, hey, thanks for teaching me everything. Now I'm a real estate agent. If you need services, let's get a coffee. And then I included a Starbucks gift card. I sent out, I think, 5 or 10. I can't remember. I now have a 100% response rate. So everyone who I sent it to has now replied. None of them are looking to buy or sell right now, but it's still a touch point that I have, and it's another contact. It's more contact information that I have who I can put on email lists and call lists and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, and so what that tells me is that of all the different lead gen things that I have tried, that is my most successful and something that I should continue to pursue. The problem is I have to put a Starbucks gift card in all of them, which costs a lot of money. And the cards that I did were $10 cards, so it was like $100 for 10 cards. Um, I'm considering dropping that down to $5, but I don't know if you can get a Starbucks coffee for less than $5. And, like, the worst feeling in the world is swiping a gift card and then having a remaining balance, right? So, I have to look at my finances and figure out when I can start mailing out more of these cards, because this month was kinda tight. Last month, I helped Grace with the student loan payment while she was getting the Pilates job. Now she's covered, so that was, like, $800. And then your birthday, Christmas gift, which was another lump of money. So like this month was tight on on bills. I still owe you a Rolex payment from a few weeks ago that I have pushed,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I am getting that to you. I just need like another paycheck to hit.
Mm.
So I don't have money for Starbucks gift cards right now, but I am logging that in my memory bank. Um, Also, the Federal Reserve cut rates again, another 1/4%. So now, the Federal Reserve is issuing the standard policy to banks of an interest rate between 3.75 and 4%, which is the lowest it's been in 3 years since
Wow.
COVID. So during COVID, they slashed rates like crazy to make it cheaper to borrow money, to encourage people to continue spending to keep our economy rolling. That's why they gave out stimulus checks and stuff like that, because they wanted to encourage people to spend rather than to get scared and save. And then after that happened, inflation went crazy. So then they increased interest rates to make it more expensive to borrow money so that inflation wouldn't be so bad. And now they're just trying to balance it out. And so now we're getting interest rates back down. The issue with all of that is that if someone bought a house during COVID at like a 2% interest rate, let's say they bought a $500,000 house, right? Now they're like, I don't know, 200,000 into paying off their house. That $500,000 house is now worth 750. Congrats, you made a lot of equity, right? The issue is inflation has gotten to the point that if you tried to pull out that $750,000 total to put it into a new house, even though it's gonna be, like, kind of a similar quality of your current house, you can't use that extra equity that you have because you're gonna get a new house with a higher interest rate. And so the equity that you have is gonna balance out with the new interest rate, and you're not gonna be making any money at all. And so people are waiting and not buying, right? Issue number 1. And all of those people are talking about how interest rates are too high right now. Incorrect. The national average for interest rates over the past 30 years is like 5%. And so or 5.5%. So interest rates right now are in like the low sixes. So they're not really that far off the mark. But over COVID, they were like 2%. So they were really, really low.
Yeah.
So now everyone who's looking to buy a house for the first time, they're going, oh shit, my car payment has a 25% interest rate. My credit card has a 35% interest rate. Houses are 6%. That's so high because over COVID, it was like a third of that, right? And so now people have a misconception that interest rates, like they're going to wait to buy a house until interest rates get down to like 2%. And that's just not going to happen without like a cataclysmic event that they need to stimulate the economy with. Um, but what I think will start happening now that the Fed is cutting rates a little bit, mortgage rates should cool off and get into the fives. I think they'll be in the fives in Q1 next year. The housing market inventory also moves cyclically, where it peaks in the winter and or peaks in the summer and troughs in the winter. So as the market goes down, less houses on the market, less supply, and interest rates go down, meaning more people will be willing to buy. So demand goes up. Supply and demand should start to balance out, and hopefully we'll get a more balanced market going into the next year. A lot of people are talking about how they think the housing market is gonna bounce back and explode toward, like, the end of, like, Trump's term, like, 27, 28.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people are looking at that as, "Oh, like, wait to buy," or maybe if you're thinking about switching careers, go into real estate, right?
Mm.
And so I'm trying to capitalize the fact that I'm in real estate right now and I'm not making a ton of money right now, but this is the time where I can use to get really, really good at real estate so that when the market does blow up, I can capitalize, right? Um, so that is the Fed part of my update. My actual business update here is my affiliate partnerships. So
Mm.
continuing to work the same thing as I did last week. I met up with the marketing director of a title company that was recommended to me by my lender. This is her preferred title company, right? Um, I found a loophole where you real estate agents are not supposed to officially partner with or take any kickbacks from companies that are involved in the closing process of the house. It's like the insurance company, appraisers, title companies, lenders, right? But if I personally don't accept any of that money and I pass all the savings on to my client, I can have partnerships. So I met up with this title company and we had an awesome conversation. She was really cool. She wasn't a title agent, she was the marketing person. But then I got to learn about her job as a marketer. And they have this really cool app for real estate agents to use, which can calculate all kinds of things. They've got net sheets on there for buyers and sellers. So when you're buying a house, here's how much money you need to have per month given your variables, right?
Mm.
It's kind of like a very specific mortgage calculator. If you're a seller, if we sell at this price, how much money do you actually profit? If you put your house on the market at too high a price, how much money do you lose month on month? Because every month that you haven't sold your house, we can look at that as a loss. I can get your house sold in 30 days. If you're on the market for 5 months, this is how much it's going to cost in property taxes and insurance, etc. And so here's the money that you lose if you price too high. And that is a really great visual way to show people like, hey, I know you think your house is worth 550. I think we should list at 520. If we're on the market for longer than 2 months, then you're going to net negative and we're going to have to sell in the lower 500s. There's also this cool calculator which shows whether it's more monetarily efficient to sell your current house when you're moving into a new one or rent it out, given your local area.
Ah.
So we actually have someone right now who owns a condo in Melbourne. They're living there right now. They bought it for like, I think it was like 140. Now they're selling for like the 180s. So they have like 40K in equity. If I'm remembering that number correctly. And they're thinking about moving to a different state. And so they're wondering if they should sell it or rent it out. And so now I can use that calculator and show them here's exactly how much money you'll make if you rent it out, right?
Mm.
Um, so it's super cool app, super nice lady, and we got a deal. She has to confirm it with her title agent. She's supposed to get that to me tomorrow, but that is locked in. And so
Awesome.
that was an important one because title companies, you need title companies to be super communicative and super transparent because they're the ones that you go to when you close, right? They are the ones that handle all the paperwork. So if they're not on top of their shit, that sucks. And these people are on top of their shit.
Cool.
So yeah, super cool.
Nice.
I then last week I doubled down. I had identified like 40 types of contractors and one email for each. Then the next week I was like, I should do at least two. So then I had 80 total. And then the week after that, I was like, fuck it, let's blow it out of the water. And then I had like 200, right? Now I have like 500. So I have even more because some companies just are not replying. So I'm trying to schedule my emails a little bit differently. I'm calling companies during the day to see if I can get like a general manager on the phone. And I have gotten a decent response rate for the volume that I'm putting in. Um, most of the companies I have a deal with, I actually have multiple deals. So I'm trying to consider so for example, garage door company, right? I have a partnership with a guy who I spoke with on the phone earlier this week. I also have a meeting with a much larger company this upcoming week, where I think that they're also going to give me a deal, right? So then I'm gonna have two garage door companies with different discounts, right? I think that for the consumer, it would be more clear cut and easy to do if I just gave you this is the garage door company and this is the discount, right? But I also like giving my customers variety where it's like, well, maybe that guy doesn't service your area, or maybe you have personal beef with someone who works there, or maybe their prices are just too high, right? So here's another option. So I'm thinking about offering both on my discount sheet. I'm not sure. I'm trying to not get carried away with it because A, I don't want to do the companies I'm partnering with a disservice by saying, "Hey, I'm offering your client my clients a special discount for your stuff and your competitors and their competitors," right? That's not cool. Also, I know I'll get carried away with it and I'll go, "Oh, well, my product isn't good enough if I don't have at least 5 options with discounts for my customers." And then I'm gonna drag this out into eternity. You good, bug?
Yeah, there's a bug.
Really?
Yeah, there's a little bug.
So, I'm trying not to get carried away with that. But so right now I wrote these metrics out a few days ago. Tracking 416 businesses, that's closer to 500 now. I have 32 secure partnerships, so that's 80% total. And I am in talks, like for example, I'm not counting the title agent yet because I don't have a discount code locked in yet. We have agreed upon a discount. We just haven't finalized the code, so I'm not tracking that. But I think in actuality, I'm closer to 90% right now. Um, so
Cool.
that is solid, yeah. I also have a meeting with a locksmith company this week. It's interesting. I reached out to this locksmith, which you might be thinking, why a locksmith if you're buying a house? Well, it's because as soon as you buy a house, you should change all your locks, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so I thought that that would be a really awesome partnership. But I emailed him, and then he emailed me back, and he was like, "Hey, can you call me?" And I was like, "Sure." Sometimes people wanna call because they wanna get to know you, sometimes they wanna call because they don't like your discount and they wanna change it around, right? But this guy was cool. He called me and he said, "Hey, you emailed me about my locksmithing company." And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "I actually own the parent company, which also owns a safe company. They sell, like, gun safes and, like,
Oh,
documents."
interesting.
And I was like, "Oh, cool." And he was like, "I think it would be really cool. We'll do the discount on the locksmith stuff. Sounds good. I think it would also be cool if we supplied you with safes to stage homes that you're selling so that in addition to all the staging furniture you have, you also have this safe with the discount code for any safe. And any safes that you sell, you get commission on."
Oh,
Then I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool because people who buy a home, I can say, hey, this giant stack of papers that the title company is going to give you, including the deed to your home and everything, you should put that in a safe." And I have a safe guy, right? Um, and I was like, "Yeah, man." He offered for me to come by their warehouse and office this week, which is what I'm gonna go do, to
nice.
take a look at everything and make sure that it's a product that I would actually get behind. Um, but what I'm gonna try to do, and I didn't say this on the phone, it's because I want to get to know him better in person and then, convince him in person, but I want to identify what the commission is, and then I wanna see if he's willing to convert that into a straight discount that I can give to my clients. Because I really like being able to say right now, I don't get any money from any of these kickbacks. It all goes straight to my client. And if I know that this guy is willing to do a discount on the safes by paying me commission, I'm wondering if he'll pass that money on to the customers too. I'm not sure. But that's something that I'm excited about. So that meeting is happening this week.
Mm.
So that's most of my business update, honestly. What I'm looking at now is I think I have enough or close to enough discounts to deliver to my clients right now. And I'm almost at the point where I can say confidently that I'm ready to start giving it to new people, right? So, like, Justin is a current client. I help him get an apartment complex, right? I want to get him these discounts ASAP because there's stuff on there that he can use, like the mobile detailing guys,
I
right?
mean,
So I'm thinking that for my clients that I know, I'm gonna make a graphic, like a list to display this, right? I'm thinking of printing it out and giving it to them in person or maybe emailing it to them as a PDF so that they can start activating the discounts. I'm not really sure. I don't know yet.
on email and text.
Yeah. I like the idea of having something physical though. It feels like weighty, you know? So I'm not sure. I also want a digital copy in case they lose that, right? So I'm thinking maybe one of each. And then what I need to do this week is determine how I'm going to get this to new clients. So I want to have a version that has all the discounts listed, but the codes are blurred out. So that when people come through open houses, I can say, "Hey, are you interested in buying this home?" And they'll go, "No, I don't like the way the stairs are." And I'll go, "Cool, I'll help you find another one." And they'll go, I don't like real estate agents." Then I'll go, "Well, my clients get all these discounts." And then they'll go, "Awesome, I don't see a discount code." And then I'll go, "Oh, it's because you have to sign up to be my client." So we swap contact information. I'll follow up with you. At that point, do I give them a physical sheet of paper with a QR code on it where they go to my website and they put in a special code? If that's the case, I need a website. Do I just give them the piece of paper right then and there? And then do I email them a copy? I don't know, because then they could distribute that to a bunch of other people, and I don't want that to happen either. If I put it in the website behind a pay code, I guess they could screenshot that and send it around to people anyways. I'm not really sure what to do. Um, So I'm kind of at a sticking point, but I haven't really given a ton of thought to it because most of what I've been doing is like surfing through Google Maps, finding businesses.
I think Hormozy did it well with the playbooks. It was the playbooks were paper copy only, and the access to the AI and other stuff
Mhm.
is through your own online account, and then you have a like a conditional legal waiver that you like accept.
Mhm.
In terms of like um data sharing and connection and what you use it for, both. But
Right.
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 And I think just having something like that with website access, like just something simple,
Yeah.
agree to terms and conditions, boop,
Yeah.
in there. Also, I haven't played with it myself yet, but I got a lot of ads over the past months for something called GoDaddy Arrow.
Mhm.
And it's from what I understand, you can build a site pretty much with AI just by like moving blocks around of like where you want stuff, and then you can just like build,
Huh.
and then, like you don't have to worry about like the back end coding bullshit like I did, like with like how do I code in the add to cart button? Like none
Right.
of that exists,
Right.
right? There's a kind of a simple way on top of the guy you have to
Josh.
Josh to build out the like your Canva vision, and then kind of just
Yeah.
make it a reality, right? Different opportunities there, stuff to play around with. Maybe looking at it from a like integration long term perspective,
Yeah.
as well. But yeah,
Yeah. My initial thought is I'm gonna probably email a PDF to my current clients
mhm.
and then um maybe print out ones to give to people I see in person and then hold off on delivering it to new people until I have a website. I don't know. I have to think about it this week. I have to make a website because I don't have one yet. So I think that what I'm going to be doing this week is starting the Canva design of what I want my website to look like. I'm going to try to knock it out entirely this week because at this point, most of the affiliate partnership stuff is like I'm just waiting for people to reply to me. So I can start making the graphic for what I want that to look like, and then as people get back to me, I'll just fill in those discounts. Um, but that I should have wrapped up, like, in the next couple days or at least by the next podcast. And then I'm gonna start putting together what I want my website to look like in Canva, and I'm gonna keep it pretty basic, so I'm hoping I can knock that out entirely this week.
Mhm.
And then either once I have that vision, go to GoDaddy Arrow and play with it, or whatever site building company, or talk to Josh and see if he can do that for me too. So that's my strategy for this upcoming week. But that's it. That's
Sweet
pretty
man,
much it.
that's
Yeah.
a good update though.
Yeah.
I know you sent out a ton of emails this week. You texted me earlier this week saying
Yeah, I,
maxed out like cold email scheduling.
yeah,
It's awesome.
you can schedule 100 emails, through, Gmail, and, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I maxed out the number of emails that I could
That's
send.
awesome. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I'm glad that that is over because I'm sick of looking at business profiles, and I'm talking to a lot of business owners too, and dude, some of them, like, some of them are just so I don't understand the way that these people speak because the way that I communicate is like very clear bottom up, right? So it's like, hi, my name is Mason. I'm a real estate agent with Blue Marlin.
Yeah.
I'm building a system that provides as much value to my clients as possible. Buying a home or selling a home can be expensive. I want to lighten that burden by partnering with local companies to get them discounts and get these local companies clients without paying any money for advertising, right? Boom, bottom up, super clear, right? And then these people go, "Oh yeah, yeah, man, yeah, sounds good. We've been in business for 20 years, and like our product supply chain is like it changes once a month, but like you know what that's like. And then if you advertise to your clients, like we don't pay anything, right? And then I'm like, well, we're doing a discount, so like you lose money, but you don't pay any money. And they're like, right, okay, got it, because so the cost overhead isn't too bad. That sounds good. Yeah, why don't we do no conversion fee, and then we'll come out for your first 5 clients. And I'm like, what the fuck does any of this mean? Can you slow down? Just slow down and like don't use slang, don't assume things, don't bro, me. Like just super basic say, we can offer a discount. Dude, my remodeling company, phenomenal. It's Enhance Remodeling, right? I got on the phone with the guy. The first person I talked to, I'd called like 25 businesses at this point. The first person I talked to, he was like, I like your system. Here's what we do. Here's when we do it. Here's our time frame. What do your clients look for? Cool. We have a partner with this company and that company. This is the discount I can do. What code do you want to use? It was so awesome working with him. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, he used to be a real estate agent. So he might already know like what this is like. Um, But again, reiterated, no one who I've spoken to has seen agents do this yet. So I'm hoping that it has a really big impact. I know at the very least my clients will appreciate it because they're getting free stuff, but I'm hoping that I can use it as a hook. When I give this to my clients, I'm going to ask them for their genuine response in how much they like this or not, to try to gauge whether this is close to the mark for where my clients' pain points actually are. Um, and I'm hoping that this can be a really powerful hook for the listing
Yeah.
launch type stuff. Um, and then I'm thinking about, do I want to wait to have a home to sell to do the listing launch? Because this is just as valuable for buyers as it is for sellers, right?
Mhm.
So should I wait for a listing launch to run this type of thing, or should I find a different way to advertise it without needing a house to sell in the first place? I don't know. But now I'm getting to the point. I have this conversation with Grace this week too, because I also have the list of people who I went to high school with who I haven't reached out yet, right? I haven't reached out to them yet. So I'm getting to the point now where I've been just fucking cranking like Google Maps, type into an Excel sheet, automate email. I've been doing that for 3 or 4 weeks at this point, to the point where it's like my brain is stalling out. It's ready to do the next thing, but my body has to keep doing this thing. And so I started brainstorming ideas with Grace this week, and she told me to shut up and finish what I was doing first before jumping onto the next thing. But I am so excited that this is done because I'm fucking sick of doing it and I'm ready to do something new and creative. So I'm reaching my ad creation limit where you were at the other week, where you're like, I'm fucking sick of doing this. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's my business update.
Cool.
What are your lessons learned this week? I said it right this week. I didn't say life
Yeah,
lessons.
you did. Um, I went through them a little bit, but I think, yeah, proof over promise. I think that, I heard that I've heard that before, and, um, I think it's a balancing act between, mitigating risk if someone only has promise and, um, maybe slightly less risk mitigation, if someone has a ton of proof,
Mhm.
you know? And so I think it's a balancing act in that sense. I think it is pretty much as simple as proof over promise, but there are other factors that come into play. And actually, Hermosi talks about it a little bit on one of his podcasts, where he was talking to someone about their business, and they were looking for sales reps, and they were commission only,
Yeah.
sales reps. And Hermosi was like, honestly, for commission only positions, like I just look for someone who is normal and has a pulse and is driven, because it's like I don't lose out really anything by giving them the opportunity to go sell,
Right.
you know? Um, and so like that's a situation where I would say like promise would outbe proof, like for a low value sales commission position, right? But if you're looking for someone to develop something complex, proof outbeats promise,
Right.
right? And I think I should have known that better. I think I was out of like I think a lot about the site is good, and I think it can be improved to outperform the baseline. I think that is possible. If it doesn't do that, implying that it doesn't do that within, the coming week.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I was also at a point where I was in a lot of pain with the advertising, and I didn't understand why everything didn't work. And so now I have a clearer picture on that, and I think I've stepped back from that
Right.
a little bit, and so I have a better, more bird's eye view of the situation. And I've started to implement that into the bird's eye view of like how do I plan like fourth quarter into the next year and stuff like that, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I think that as I continue to go through business, I learn how to navigate these situations and stay calm and rationally go through stuff when shit hits the fan. Like, if 3 months ago, this ad account throttle spend issue would have happened, I probably would have like freaked out a lot more than I did. And I mean, I was stressed,
Yeah.
because I was like, I was especially stressed when they issued me the new ad account and it didn't convert at all.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Do you
not
remember
good.
do you remember when we were baking? This was, I think, like the weekend that you went to the Daytona 200 with Sammy. This was like 2 years ago. We were
Yeah,
baking and you were like fucking freaking out. Like you were having like a complete mental collapse. You're losing your shit.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, but I have noticed you go through similar periods of stressful inputs lately and not have freaked out at all, which is I think a lot of growth.
Yeah, I think that's way better.
I think so too. Yeah,
Um, yeah,
but
so
it shouldn't go unrecognized.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, I appreciate it.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm doing better, slowly but surely. And I think part of it is realizing that like the road is long. And you just gotta keep walking it and keep doing what you're doing and continue to try and improve and do more.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of overarching lesson this week.
Got it.
But what about you? What you got for us?
It's a good lesson. I've got a bunch of interesting stuff this week. I haven't had many like super interesting life updates in the past few weeks, but this week I had a few different ones. I listened to Diary of a CEO by
Yeah.
Stephen Bartlett, and I was listening to one with someone who I found interesting, but can't remember off the top of my head. It was a good one, right? And then I saw that he had one with Kamala Harris. And I was like, interesting, because I've never seen her do long form content that hasn't been chopped up into an interview. Like I think it was CNN did where they like
Yeah.
completely change it, right? I haven't seen her speak long form. But right now she wrote a book on her run for presidency and now she's doing a book tour to go
Uh,
promote the book. And so she went on his podcast to promote the book. And I was like, this is an interesting opportunity to learn about someone who I've only seen promotional material for created by someone else, not her. Like, she has never sat down and done this type of thing before. And it made me realize how much I value podcasts because you get to see the, like, unadulterated truth of a person,
yeah.
right? And so I watched it, and I don't think I gained a ton of insight into her as a person. I don't think I gained as much empathy as I was hoping for, because I looked on a lot of the things that she's done publicly as inauthentic or kind of like, what's it called? Not scammy, but like, swindly, you know? Like, I just telling people what they wanna hear because they wanna hear it. And I don't think that that opinion has really changed
Mhm.
watching her in long form. But it does humanize a person when you watch them speak for long periods of time, like, regardless, right?
Yeah.
Um, it gets really easy to say, like, "Oh, Elon's a Nazi and he should die." But when you sit down and watch him for, like, 3 hours, you're like, "Oh, he's a human," right?
Yeah.
And it was the same type of thing with Kamala. Not that I wanted her to die in the first place, but it was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is a reminder that people running for president, even if they lose, they still go on a full campaign and don't sleep for 8 months," you know?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of eye-opening. And in that same spirit of like, "Oh, I'm open and accepting, and I wanna learn more about people who I don't know a lot about, but have heard negative things about," um, he also Stephen Bartlett also did a podcast with Gavin Newsom,
Ah.
the governor of California.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is interesting because I know that California is falling apart and I know that people hate this guy, but I don't know. I've never seen him speak. I don't know anything about him. I've never seen him do a podcast. I should watch it. And so I watched it. And the whole first half of the podcast was really intriguing because it was his story about how he grew up with a single mother who was super low income and he like made ends meet and he worked in a restaurant or whatever, right? And then he told the story about how, his mother got I think it was breast cancer, and, she decided to do assisted suicide, and he and his sister went to be there with her when she did it,
Yeah. No shit.
and, when she started to pass, his sister left the room, and he stayed in the room with her, and it was very emotional, and
Yeah.
it was very moving, and it helped me connect with him on a person-to-person level,
Mm.
and when he begins to speak about his perspective on, um like homelessness and universal health care and other contentious issues in immigration, I can really see it from like a human perspective, right? And I kind of had my eyes open to, oh, people who view politics from this direction, this is how they see it from like a super
Mm.
empathetic position, right? Where it's like striving to do the right thing, even if you fall short, right? Or even if it doesn't work out, it's with good intent, right? And then the whole second part of the podcast, like the half of it was him like shit talking Trump. And I was like, okay, this is one of those you're living your life in a way that I wouldn't prefer situations. And I'm cognizant of that. And so I'm not going to pass judgment because I try to spend my time not shit talking other people on podcasts.
Mm.
If I'm talking about them at all, it's like this exact instance right now in which I learned a lesson from them, right? Um, and I was like, okay, not ideal for me, but that's okay. But he was talking shit about how Trump. Like, we'll say one thing and then we'll do the other, or how right now Trump is like trying to get the voting districts in Texas changed so that he can get more Republican voters so he can take over whatever in the midterms, right? And how that's a really corrupt and immoral thing, and like he's a bad person and he's evil. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not into the political shit, so I don't know. But I left that podcast with a much deeper connection to him as a human and as a person, which I really enjoyed. And then I started watching the Joe Rogan podcast I sent you this morning with
Right.
Elon, and they were talking about how right now California is passing legislation to change the voting districts so that they can get more seats in the House of Representatives. And I was like, oh, hang on, that's what Gavin Newsom was shit talking Trump for.
Yeah.
And I had wait, hang on. No, I had a deep human connection with this guy, right? And he was talking about how other people are doing corrupt shit. And they say that they're gonna do one thing and then they do the other, and how he's not like that. And this is him doing that today. And I was like, this Gavin Newsom podcast was only from a few months ago. Like, how much has changed in only a few months, right? And then they went on to talk about Joe and Elon about how the House of Representative seats are decided by populace in a state,
Yeah.
not citizenship, but
Correct.
the amount of people.
Yeah.
And so the more immigrants and the more homeless that you have in your state, the more house seats you get,
Yes.
which is why California is so pro open immigration and homelessness and stuff.
That was a point that Elon Musk made during the campaign that he got asked this on like ABC or some news section. Someone asked him, they're like, aren't the seats of the House supposed to disproportionately help smaller states because regardless of your population size, they get two? Why are you saying that California is trying to stack the House? And Elon says, well, I think that both can be true. You can have small states that are disproportionately represented because they have to have two seats that they may not have the populace for two seats, but then additionally, because it's calculated off of census data, states that have a way higher influx of population growth over the course of a few years can be allocated a lot more house seats because they generally have a higher population.
Right.
And so both can be true, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's a very important point.
Yeah. And so I had this like really tough like experience where I went into these podcasts looking forward to getting to know these people
Mm.
and then being verified in that, oh, I got what I was looking for. I got my human connection. I got to know them better. I got to empathize with them as a person. And maybe they're not so bad. Right. And then I had that flipped on me immediately where everything that they were saying the other side was doing, they are actually doing, and then didn't talk about it all.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, they're doing the same thing that I'm doing, but they're doing it for a bad reason and I'm doing it for a good reason. It was they're doing it and I'm not doing it at all. And then they're doing it. So it fucking sucked for me because I thought I was doing a good thing by like, putting myself out there and being open to a new perspective. And then I kind of had the door slammed on me, um, which sucked. But at the same time, I didn't really lose sleep over it. It was just like a little fun life learning mental experience that I wanted to try.
Yeah. I think it all depends on the like you can never really know what the other person truly believes inside, right? Like it is possible that Gavin Newsom doesn't even realize that he's stacking the house in that way,
Right.
like in reassigning districts. Like he might genuinely believe that like that's a movement. Like he is doing this as a protection of his country and his state because of the evil, dark, and bad things that the Trump administration is doing. Like he might genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
He also may be brainwashed to believe that by the advisors around him.
Yeah.
He also may have malicious intent and it's all just an act for his own self gain. Or any of those things could be wrong and it could all be a lie and some other variable that, I didn't list could be considered right. And it's tough because like the only thing that's kind of helped me get through it because I've had those moments too, where especially like researching politics coming up to the election and stuff like that. The thing that helped me the most was when Hermosi said, "No politician is going." He said, "No politician is going to make you rich or poor. You have to be successful for yourself." Essentially, it was like the gist of what he said, and it's like if you're counting on this guy to change your life around, right? And I'm not saying that's what you were intention to do, but that helped me dissociate from like the political burden,
Yeah.
right? Of like just realizing like I am still my own person and I wake up as my own person, right? And so like that kind of helped me but it is tough because it's hard to I think it's sometimes hard to not know what's really going on behind someone's head, or like in someone's head, and it's hard to gauge um what people are doing and why.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like the focusing on like the outcome of what they do and how it affects my probability of success, like, is the only avenue that I take. And even then, I focus on it, or at least I try to focus on it less than I do. How can I change my probability of success?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if tomorrow, like, you know, Trump administration came out and suddenly banned Facebook and Instagram, like that'd be a problem for my business. I'd have to focus
Right.
on that, right?
Right.
But like by and large, I try to distance from it. But
That's
it's tough.
that's how I have taken it, especially post-election, is, like, even with all the Charlie Kirk stuff, I still like, I don't have strong opinions one way or the other,
Mm,
but I wanted to use this as an opportunity, as an exercise in empathy, right? And then I
mhm.
had my ass kicked for it. He also mentioned Gavin Newsom mentioned that he grew up with a single mom with no money, whatever, and then he had to work at a restaurant, so he was working a job while his mom was working a job to pay the bills, and then
Yeah, he worked with
after
Kamala at McDonald's.
after so after college, he opened his own restaurant and a wine store.
Mm,
So he was an entrepreneur and he was a businessman, and then he went on into
that's cool.
politics from there. Yeah. And I was like, awesome, scrimped and saved, right? And then I heard in like some other podcasts, I was watching stuff on SNAP benefits because I was worried about buying groceries this week. And I was like, what's the deal with all the SNAP benefits? Because I'm seeing a lot of shit on like TikTok and Instagram Reels of people being like, I am going to break into cars because the taxpayers pay my bills. And if I'm not getting money in my bank account, then I'm going to get their money in their car. And so I was like, well, I don't want my car to get broken into. So what's the deal? So I was following up on all this stuff. And I heard someone passively talk about how Gavin Newsom's dad was a lawyer and he plays the I grew up poor act, but he actually grew up with money because his dad was really rich and his mom was really poor, but he lived in both houses. That's how he paid for his first businesses. Who do you know who owns a business, a brick and mortar business right out of college? If you don't have someone to fund it, like a rich dad. And this was coming from someone who also grew up with a rich dad, but doesn't hide it. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, damn, dude, like the inauthenticity of people on the political stage is just never ending.
Have you heard the spiel from Chris Williamson about there are no adults?
No.
Oh man, I'll send it to you. You'll love it. I can't recite it well enough to make it worthwhile.
It's the vibe. What's the vibe?
Um, the vibe is essentially, um, the people you pose as idols and the adults that you look up to are all children. Even the greatest adults that we've had in this history have had X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like, don't put adults on a pedestal; they don't even exist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is essentially the premise, right?
Yeah.
It's a really good, like, it's like a 1.5 minute segment, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. So that's a wrap on my Gavin Newsom Kamala Harris IOP experience,
There
which
you go.
sucked. But going on to a different pop culture thing that I also resonated with. I'm trying to look for more philosophical stuff,
Mm,
because I have that part of my brain that I want to scratch, right? And one of them was Billie Eilish gave a speech. She was accepting some award this week, and she gave a speech. Have you seen this?
no.
She made a comment about billionaires. So she was in this room accepting the speech, and in the crowd were a bunch of wealthy people, including billionaires, right? And so in her speech, I have a quote. She said, we're in a time right now where the world is really, really bad and really dark, and people need empathy and help more than kind of ever, especially in our country. I'd say if you have money, it would be great to use it for good things. Maybe give it to some people that need it. Love you all, but there's a few people in here that have a lot of money, a lot more than me. If you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties. And my immediate thought was, oh, you don't know how being a billionaire works. You don't have a bank account with like a fucking huge number in there that you can just go hand like cash out tomorrow and hand out on the street, right? That's not how that works. And then I thought about it and I was
Yeah.
like, but wait, Billie Eilish has a lot of money because she's like a pop star and stuff. And then I realized there's two different types of rich. There's I have money in my bank account rich, and then there's I own assets that have inherent value rich, right?
Yeah.
Which is it was eye-opening to me because it was someone who has money doesn't understand how it works on a larger scale. And then is imparting a judgment and a criticism on someone who is at that scale when they don't understand it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the point where it's like you don't you know the idea where it's like you don't know enough about something to know how little you know about something.
Yeah.
It's that, but it's someone who has a lot of money. And so it's someone who you'd think would be like educated on this stuff because they have millions of
Yeah.
dollars, but they don't.
I mean, it could be just a political play too. I mean, think about Billie Eilish's audience,
I have no idea.
right? It's likely younger girls, right? Maybe a little bit more liberal oriented, right? There's probably not like a lot of like, you know, living in the projects kids who are listening to Billie Eilish, right? It's probably more to like upper middle class, like because the tickets are expensive to Billie Eilish, right? Like any of these big artists, right?
Uh-huh.
Like that, like that's probably the target audience, which has over the course of time ironically shifted towards like, yeah, hate the rich, blah blah blah. Like,
Well, I thought about it
you know,
practically, and I was like, okay, so Mark Zuckerberg was sitting in that room, right?
yeah,
And that's who everyone's talking about, like she was targeting to. And I was like, how would Mark Zuckerberg effectively do this? Because you can't borrow against Facebook to give away money, because then that's not making like you can borrow against an asset if that borrowing is going to make enough money or your asset is increasing in value enough such that it covers that, right? Like if your asset is growing in value, but you can't pull out the entire value of Facebook and then give that away for free and have that because then you're indebted to the bank. So what if Mark Zuckerberg
yeah,
sold every share in Facebook, right? And had all that cash sitting in the bank? What if Warren Buffett sold all his stock and all that cash was sitting in the bank? And then he went to the bank and tried to cash it all out. A, that's impossible because that's not the way our economy works. Banks only have to retain, I think, 9 or 10% the amount that you bring to the bank, and then they can go loan out the rest. So like there actually that much cash doesn't exist, right? A.
yeah,
Let's say it did, right? Then he has $1 billion. He's going to give away 999 million of it. So he's only going to have $1 million left, which is plenty to live for the rest of your life, right? Whatever. And then you give away all that money, right? A, like how many people does that actually go to? Because talking about the SNAP benefit stuff, everyone is talking right now about how there's $5 billion in reserves for the SNAP benefit stuff. And like, why is Congress not freeing up that 5 billion to go to people with SNAP benefits, right? Because right now no one's getting paid their food stamps because the government shut down. And the answer is that money is there in case there's an increase in number of people that need SNAP benefits, right? So if we suddenly go into like a crazy recession or go to war and like people need food, we have that money there, not for the government's inability, right? So it's an emergency fund, not a government fucked up fund, right? But
yeah.
also, it costs $8 billion a month to pay American SNAP benefits. So 5 billion isn't even it's 60%. It's not even 1 month of SNAP benefits for everybody. So then I think if Mark Zuckerberg really did cash out everything, how much money could he give to every citizen in America at once? And yeah, and then I was like, this is silly. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Even when you play it out in the real world, it's ridiculous. And then also, now who owns Facebook? Because he has to give that to like somebody has to buy it, right? So then somebody else owns that
Yeah.
part of Facebook. And then are they growing Facebook? Are they building that company? Because Facebook also owns Meta, which is a leader in the AI world, right? Which is also going to have big implications. Like companies grow. That's the whole reason you have companies. So like even when you play this out in real life, it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't make sense.
No, these people, yeah, it's yeah, yeah. It's just like people get caught up in their opinions and they don't think about what they say, and then they get caught up in political stances in order to have some hidden agenda or benefit to whatever they're trying to achieve potentially, or maybe they just want to have a political stance, and
Yeah.
it's like, at the end of the day, if you are so terribly unhappy with the volume of millionaires and billionaires, I invite you to utilize a plane and move to a country that doesn't have as many and see how your quality of life is there.
That I
It's
really
not that's not me being a jerk, but it's like if you genuinely hate it here and you hate all the millionaires and billionaires and eat the rich and all this stuff, then go to a country where there's less wealth and see if your quality of life improves.
later on in the Joe Rogan podcast, they talk about how there's a lot of boats coming to the US from Cuba full of people, but they go back to Cuba empty. So you can just hop on one any day and get back to dirt. Go see how community works.
Yeah,
Getting on a boat coming back might be tough, but that's anyways.
yeah.
Um,
It's like
I can loop that back to it's probably coming from a place of like they don't know a lot about the topic, but they don't like where everything is at right now, which
yeah,
is a valid opinion. I get it. People can't afford to eat, and that
yeah,
sucks, right? And it's not always that person's fault, whatever, right? But you're making claims and having an opinion on something that you don't understand, right? So either educate yourself and then maybe educate other people. That'd be cool, or don't make the claim. So it's Chris Williamson's quote of like, resist the desire to have an opinion
and
on everything.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, so I thought that was a really awesome, I thought that was an awesome, awesome understanding of, or example of making a claim on something that you don't understand and then having people rally around that claim because everybody is all over this. Everybody loves this, right? And I seem to be the only person looking at it going, this makes Billie Eilish look bad because it makes Billie Eilish look stupid. And that's nope,
No, it
wants to
doesn't
look
because
stupid.
all the other people jumping on board think that it's intelligent. Because
They think it's intelligent, right?
they think it's intelligent. Right?
Right.
Their thought has nothing to do with the reality of the situation. But if they perceive themselves as intelligent for having this opinion, then all is good,
Yeah.
right?
So then I'm taking a moment to share with you this
Yes.
experience
Yes, we are.
so that we can insulate ourselves from making stupid opinions. Or when we do make stupid opinions, we then go back and talk about how stupid they are
Yeah.
and learn from that experience, right? Where we go, oh, fuck, dude, I really thought that micromanaging the ad would get the ads to work because that's all it was, but that's not it at all. I have to change the core messaging of the ad. I had an opinion, I was wrong, right? And like,
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity where I don't think we'll ever see Billie Eilish get on stage and make a statement the opposite direction, but I want to use it as an
Hey, you never
example.
know.
You never know. I want to keep
Coming in 2035, we're gonna sponsor Billie Eilish to say everything opposite to what she said in
I don't know.
2025. It'll be so much fun.
But that's I wanted to bring that up. I have two more life lessons
Yeah,
or
go
lessons
for it.
learned. One of them is Alex Ramosi went on the Jake Paul podcast, right? You
Mm.
know Jake Paul?
Yep.
Other controversial figure, right? We got a lot of those in my life update today or lessons learned update today. But he went on the Impulsive podcast, and I was like, I really want to see this podcast because I see a lot of Alex Ramosi talking to the camera,
Mhm.
Alex Ramosi talking to other business owners, Alex Ramosi talking to Layla. I've never seen Alex Ramosi talk to a complete layman who knows nothing about entrepreneurship, right? And like Logan Paul owns a business, I get it, but not in the same sense that Alex does, right?
Right.
And I'm really curious to see how he translates stuff to Logan Paul, right? And funny enough, I actually think that he could have done a better job explaining that stuff to Logan Paul. I think I detected he was a little bit out of his element talking to someone who isn't on the same plane,
Yeah. Well,
which
it's
I
not his skill set.
exactly. But I thought it was really interesting.
Mm.
And it was a really engaging piece of content to watch. And then it made
Got it.
me more aware of when I'm talking to people about things, I need to really lay it out brick by brick sequentially, right? Because it's super easy to like get caught up in what I'm talking about and skip acronyms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but he had this philosophical segment, which they were able to have conversation on because he didn't have to explain everything. But you're familiar with like the Stoicism type Hormozy philosophy, right? And the guys on the podcast were talking to him about stuff because you know they would make a claim about like, oh, isn't this thing crazy? And then Alex would be like, well, look at it this way, and they'll go, wow, that's a great point. And so one of them was like, man, you know everything. Like, you know, what's the meaning of life, Alex? Will you enlighten us? And then he said, well, I mean, if you think about it, the meaning of life is literally just whatever is stopping you from killing yourself right now. And they were like, fuck, dude, that's a great point. And so they like ended the podcast on that. They were like, shit, dude, you figured it out. But I sat and I thought about that and I was like, that's so interesting because what is the meaning of life is a question that I feel like everybody asks. And it's one that I've never really cared about or
Yeah.
like given critical thought
Mm.
to. But I thought it was an interesting one and I'm keeping it in my pocket for whenever anybody asks me because it's such a literal and funny answer that has like value to it. I
Yeah.
thought it was funny.
I haven't put this in any of my lessons. Um, but I think one of the most valuable lessons that I've learned is that like after quitting the 9 to 5, like the realization curve of realizing that you don't shrivel up into a little ball when you no longer have like 9 to 5 income coming in steadily. Like the realization and like what's interesting about it is it really pulled me back and I was like, wow, like the 9 to 5 structure is that is a screwed up structure. Like it really does make you realize people should have more freedom people should build lives that allow them the freedom to do what they want.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether that's through a 9 to 5 structure or something else or whatever you want to do. Like incorporating that freedom, like it is valuable.
Yeah.
And like I choose to not utilize a lot of it because I just sit at home and work. Like I'm lucky if I get outside far enough to the mailbox, right? But it's like just having that freedom and that ability, like it does put a sense of like, wow, they're like this is closer to like how we're meant to live. We're
Right.
meant to live like doing what we love and living towards dreams that we hope to achieve one day, right? And like that aspect of it was like super valuable and cool. I had a way to tie this into what you just said, and then I
There's the meaning of life.
well, oh yeah, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
But yeah, something I haven't included, but like it also has given me like perspective and appreciation for more small things, like going out and do like, which is funny. Like, when I was at the 9 to 5, like, I didn't have, like, appreciation for, like, doing, like, the small things or, like,
Mhm.
whatever, but, like, like, going out to, like, downtown with Sammy, like, on Halloween, like, that like, I had a much more appreciation for that small hangout than I probably would have had otherwise,
Right.
just because it was, like, it didn't feel like a time block that I had to manage around my other time blocks throughout the
Yeah.
week. It's no, like, I have big time blocks where I just work, but then I have, like, there is nothing that restricts me from going and doing something else if I want to. And,
Right.
like, that little bit of, like, that's a really nice flavor. I look forward to you having the same experience. I want everyone around me to experience it because it's nice. It's like a little, like, mini they're like little mini views along the climb. I like them.
It's like being off leash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's cool.
Well, I think Hormozy feels that too, and that's why he makes all the content that he does, is because he just wants everybody to feel that.
Yeah.
And so he wants to give you every tool that he can to get everybody there.
Right. Right. 100%.
My last life my fuck me, dude, my last lesson learned. I'm gonna have to change this to something else, like a different title.
Last lesson learned.
My last lesson learned, is about how people's definition of hard can change over time.
Mm.
So we had cold weather this week for the first time this year, and I was walking into the office. It was a shorter walk. I got a good parking spot. It was maybe a 2-minute walk, and I was in a flannel, but I was cold even in my flannel. And
Mm.
so as I was walking, I was maybe like 30 feet from the door, and I was like, "Fuck, it's cold out here. I can't wait to get inside. This is so uncomfortable." And then I was like, I used to wake up 4 hours earlier than I am awake today. And then I would drive in a car with no heat because the Camaro has never had heat to a boathouse where there was no air conditioning and hardly any insulation. It was all concrete. And then go row in clothing that I'm wearing as underclothing in this outfit right now with no flannel. And I would do that for hours. And I would drive home cold, and then I would like value the warm shower when I got home. And now I'm complaining about a 2-minute walk into a building when I'm in a flannel.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I used to be something great. What what have I become? What have I fallen to? But I thought it was a funny juxtaposition to the quote, the hardest thing you've ever done is the hardest thing you've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was like, even though it's nowhere near the hardest thing I've ever done, it's closer to the hardest thing I've done in a shorter time horizon, which makes it feel more harder than it actually is because I know I'm capable of so much more. Um, and then I got into like a different thought train of like, well, why do I not push as hard as I did in high school or college, where it was like, oh, sleeping 3 hours a night for 8 months. And then I was like, well, because at the end of 8 months, I can crash out and take a month off. But now if I crash out and take a month off, I'll probably get depressed and kill myself. So I kind of have to keep the train going. So I need like, for me at least, it's a minimum of like 6 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
And then I have to do that every day forever. So I can't sleep less and work more indefinitely.
I have to find a balance for the sleep because I actually started sleeping on the bed this past week because
Like a bitch.
yeah,
I'm
like a
kidding.
bitch.
I'm kidding.
Because I was getting, for whatever reason, I was getting very bad sleep on the floor. Like, I was doing really well for a couple months.
Weird.
I know, wild. But I wasn't getting more than like 2 hours,
Yeah.
and it just like wasn't like I was going to bed at 4 and then waking up at 6:30. I'm like, fuck, like no alarm or anything, just
Yeah.
waking up, and I'm like, I need something,
Right.
but I'll figure it out. I wanna do like a version of floor. I got to figure out like floor plus DLC. That's
What's
what I
DLC?
like.
Oh, like extra
Yeah,
content? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I saw this YouTube video the other day on, I forget what it's called. It's where you sleep for like 4 hours every 12 hours.
Interesting.
So instead of sitting down and sleeping for like 8 hours at once, you just like kind of nap forever. And I thought that was interesting.
Sleep for 2 hours every 6 hours.
Yeah, you could do that.
Sleep for 1 hour every 3 hours.
I could,
You sleep for 30 minutes every hour and a half.
every
You sleep for
15 minutes.
15. You sleep for 15 minutes every 45 minutes.
I think that ratio is off. Is it a third? Okay. Anyways, I thought about that and I was like, man, if I was doing real estate full time, I could sleep 4 hours every 12 hours. Then I thought about it and I was like, I'd probably fucking hate that anyways. But I feel like if I were out of real estate, I would be able to go. I think my preferred cycle is working like a lunatic for 2 months and then like taking a month with my foot off the gas and
Mm.
then going back on the gas again. But right now it's like if I don't get enough sleep when I get to work, I get in trouble. And I know it's because it's happened already. So I kind of have to balance it. But anyways, yeah, that's all my lessons I learned this week.
Cool, man. Awesome.
That's
You
it.
got to dial in for us?
I do. This is on uh like my feed has just been completely like the billionaire thing and then the SNAP benefits thing and the fucking everything else. Um and so when I was reading through my quotes, I thought this was a good one from Robert Kiyosaki. He goes, "This is not a fair country. We are a free country. There are people who work harder, are smarter, are more driven for success, are more talented, or are more desirous of the good life than others. In America, we are free to pursue those ambitions if we have the determination."
True that.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for another week of the Vision 79 podcast. Hopefully, you have a good and productive week coming into November, or actually, it will be in November at this point. But have a good one, and we'll see you next time.